And hello, everybody. It's so good to see you, pop culture curator here. I'm excited. We're back for another week of reviews for Lost in Space. Tonight, we're going to be covering the third episode of season one, Island in the Sky. And I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat. Looks like we already have people that came in here early, and I appreciate it. It's so good to see you all. Lemon Pie, hello, Lemon Pie. And Phantom Boomer, you guys are really early. I appreciate that. And it looks like, and most of all, and important of all, I'd like to say hello to my esteemed panel. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm all
Wonderful.
right.
Sound like a little hesitant there. Well, I know you had a rough day, Gorilla. I hope this will make it better for you.
Hey, karma's a bitch. I mentioned that on Bird of Prey 5's channel there, the karma we got.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Well, did you hear I put it in the Dear Pops there.
I was
You know-
busy. I didn't get a chance to listen to all those. Sorry.
Well, put it this way, don't fuck around with electricity, you won't get zapped in the nuts.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful there. Hello, Hungry Boys. So good to see you. Hungry Boys is how you folks going to be painting as I listen. Very cool. I'm glad you could join us.
Yeah. And hell, Lemon.
You
Yep,
especially
Little Eyes
need
is
to be
hungry.
careful around electricity when you've got a robot like the one in this episode.
Definitely, yes.
Hey, he's my main gripe this week, so.
Ground yourself. Remember to ground yourself.
Oh, you got grounded all right.
And Hungry Boy says, "Hi, dear Citrus." Okay, all right. I know we're running a little late tonight, so I'm going to try to see if I can get this moving along at a pretty good pace, everybody. And so I'll try to keep it relatively short. I know I had a lot of info I was going to share from the book, Lost in
Oh, I
Space,
saw
the
here's some
Authorized
info.
Biography. Well, I do have some info, and I'll try to squeeze that in as well and still keep everything moving. I think we'll do pretty good. I got so deep into reading it, I lost track. I was going to share a lot of pictures from it, and I didn't get a chance to do that, but I promise I will next week. I'm going to start sharing behind the scenes pictures of these episodes too, by the way.
Oh, cool.
That was my hopes for
That's
tonight, but the intro that you guys just saw. In fact, I just noticed now that I saw it, it's got a couple mistakes. So I was fine tuning that clear up till like just in the last 2 minutes.
Well,
So
guess what? Only you noticed the mistakes. I thought it was cool.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, it's got to be perfect. I don't know. For
course.
me, it's got to be perfect.
Yeah. And Sean, I hope that's not the same pizza pans that one lady accidentally they left it on her pizza there. She took it home, was showing how bad that thing was, and she spent 2 weeks doing like I don't know how many different ways to try to scrub that damn thing. It took her damn near 2-3 weeks of about 50 different methods of cleaning to get that thing clean.
I
Wow.
probably would have tossed it, bought a new one by then.
Oh no, she went on her. It wasn't even hers. She went on a mission to clean it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and if I step away briefly, it's because my child needs me and stuff.
Absolutely, Jill.
Yep.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be covering season one, episode 3 of the original Lost in Space, Island in the Sky. This episode originally aired on September 29th, 1965. And I've got some notes here I'll be sharing. Of course, when I get called on, I get nervous, and I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. Buck Houghton, by the way, Buck Houghton. I think it's pronounced Houghton. Worked on this episode. He also was a classic name you might recognize from Twilight Zone.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Twilight Zone, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. In fact, it's listing off a bunch of his work that he had done.
Hmm.
And by the way, Debbie the Bloop here is making her first appearance since the pilot was basically scrapped. She had been frequently in another CBS series, The Beverly Hillbillies, as a pet of Ellie Mae Clampett's.
Oh, really?
Right. She was the same one that was in Cousin Bessie. They had her in the little
Huh.
dress.
Wow, I never
She also had
realized
a
that.
prominent role. Yeah, she also had a prominent role in the Disney feature film The Monkey's Uncle, starring Tommy Kirk and Annette Funicello.
Huh.
Among other scenes in this movie, Debbie on a tambourine accompanied Funicello and the Beach Boys in the movie's title song.
Hmm.
And Billy Mooney was quoted as saying, "It was cute, nice little chimpanzee named Debbie. Lou Shoemaker was its trainer, and Angela really did like working with it, a little more than I did. Well, it was more her thing. Penny was supposed to be more of a zoologist type of a character, and Will was more of an engineer, electronics type. Originally, we all had these clear-cut characters. You know. Angela Cartwright fondly remembered, I loved having Debbie on the set. It was an uncomfortable apparatus that she had to wear on her head. That was such a drag for her. But I love animals, so it was great having her. And I love that Penny was involved in zoology and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's my
Oh, yeah,
long lost ancestor right there.
That's why I thought you would have fun with this episode, because you have a friend here, girl. Another great ape from another world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, this Debbie reminds me of the Star Trek episode "The Enemy Within," where they put a dog in a costume with a little horn on it. So they just give this chimpanzee a hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the one thing with Star Trek though
Now
is
he's an
they weren't
alien.
afraid to glue stuff to like the babies' faces and everything else with Star Trek.
Well, remember, if anybody's seen the original Battlestar Galactica, they also had a monkey in a suit there, and that was very torturous for that monkey.
Huh. Wow.
They called it Boxy. It was supposed to be like a little robot, but I remember they called it Boxy, and it was in the original Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
It was the pet of the little boy. I think
I
it was
remember that now.
not Starbuck, but the other guy's son, Apollo. It was Apollo's son, if I remember right. And okay, so I'm gonna hold off on the notes for now, so we can get started. The next note I have, anyway, is has to do with a scene within this episode, and I'll wait till then. So let me get Jill's ready here. Jill's slides ready, and Jill, once again, thank you for these slides. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoy making them. It's a lot of fun. This show is fun to watch.
It's different, yeah. I know it's not Star Trek, but it's a different flavor.
No,
of
it's
sci-fi.
not. But it's science fiction, and it very much cares about the genre. If anything, even if it's in a simpler format, it is real science fiction, and I enjoy it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I
And
mean, even
ahead.
when even when it has a goofy episode, it's generally gotten a good enough writing to sort of carry things through. Like it's like I mean there are some really silly episodes, but even the silly ones are kind of fun, right? So
Yes, and I like the dynamic with the cast. Because obviously, that's one thing Gene Roddenberry did not want in Star Trek was friction between the crew members. But I think with Dr. Smith on here, due to the insistence of the network, I think it really helped the show.
Oh yeah.
And for those of you who have not seen it yet, you will see what we talk about as we see more episodes. And Captain Finity says, I think that's hello or a moon. I'm not sure, but good to see you, Captain.
Is that like a croissant or something?
Possibly something with a bite out of it. Let me make it big.
Well, the thing with Star Trek is that they wanted
Pizza. Maybe it's
That's a shrimp.
or,
It's a piece of shrimp.
It looks like a croissant.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a croissant.
Or I was thinking
Okay, it's a
our
vegan shrimp.
PS5 controller. There you go.
Okay,
Right.
It's a vegan shrimp.
Lemon Pie says pizza pants. And Lemon Pie says, oh, pans. Lemon Pie says, hail, Captain. And Hungry Boy, hello, Chronarch at Captain Finity. Captain Finity says, hello, Lemon Pie, and Hungry, yada, yada, yada. And Hungry Boy says, hiya, Sean Carter at Phantom Boomer. Lemon Pie says, Chronarch, oh, cool title. And Phantom Boomer says, hail, Captain Finity. Hungry Boy, hungry for UFO to never suffer a reboot, a.k.a. Hungry Boy. The Boomer says, howdy, Carter. I'm sorry, what's that, Jill?
Oh, I agree with Hungry Boy's name for now. I hope UFO doesn't have a reboot.
So far, we've been lucky because that's Gary Anderson, isn't it?
Yes.
Gary Anderson.
Very-
So far,
Gary?
his shows have been safe from reboots, I think. And the
Right.
same thing with Space 1999. I hope they don't touch that either. Or Thunderbirds. And Hungry Boy says, "Be gone, you blithering bloop." Phantom Boomer says, "I think the boy was boxy." Oh, you could be right. The boy was boxy, and then I don't remember what the little robot chimpanzee was supposed to be. Thank you for correcting me, Phantom Boomer. It's been a while since I've seen that show. Sean Carter says, Boxy was the boy's name, I think. The dog was Moffat. That is it. Yes. Thank you, Sean. That is it, yes. And Sean Carter says hello, Adam Boomer. And Sean Carter says hungry, hello. I was never into those little kids on that little irritating. But Sean Carter says hi, lemon pie. I have pizza pants from the mess. LOL. I'm working a gig at Pizza Hut. That must make your house smell nice when you come home.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, my Stream Elements is working. Ooh, I'm surprised. I forgot,
Cool.
but I had it programmed, so I'll see what happens.
It seems
Lemon
to be
Pie says
working.
hello, Sean. Yeah, I set the timer, Jill. So let's see what, for good or bad, what happens or becomes of that.
It's
So,
wonderful.
okay, let me star this chat, and we are ready to continue. So we have our episode open up. We have Dr. Smith programming the robot, teaching it how to play chess. And much to Dr. Smith's chagrin, the robot is already better than he is.
All right, so I thought that robot was a damn all-purpose robot for everything. When did this? When I don't think they mentioned it as a strictly environmental control before.
It was named
Wait.
as an environmental control robot in the very first episode when we saw it
Did
in
it?
its compartment. Yes.
God damn it! All my
But
no
it can
void
be
now.
reprogrammed to do anything, like you're
Okay.
saying.
Okay. Oh, then all my bitching's null and void now.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that disappointed you, Gorilla.
But wait, if it's only for environmental control, how can it play chess?
Well, the thing is, it starts out as environmental control when they first get it, but then the more they program it, the more it can do.
And of course, its first programmer is Dr. Smith. No one else has been programming it as of yet.
Unfortunately, yes, that is true. And we will see a few times where that comes into play.
And luckily, Mr. Smith is still under the false notion that his voice alone can control the robot. So he doesn't realize that Will can impersonate it, that the robot's voice detection capabilities are not very precise.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that's
Because
for
the
sure.
robot is only as good as its programmer, and Mr. Smith hasn't realized the flaw yet.
That's correct. And it's a good thing they haven't told him either, I suppose, right?
Right.
So here's where they're coming up on this planet, and they decide that the ship needs repairs. So they got to land on that planet. So they want to do check out the environment on it, and they want. Sorry to skip over myself. They need to land in order to enact repairs on the ship. So the first thing they want to do is find out the environment and find out if it's hostile. So Professor Robinson suits up with his. Do they call them thrusters? It's on his arms. You'll see he's got these little jets on his arms.
Parajet thrusters, yes.
That's it. Yes, thank you. And I'm not sure if it's really feasible that a person can actually handle descent into a planet with an atmosphere.
Oh,
Unless
absolutely
they circle it while
not.
they're going down.
I had the same thought. The heat and intensity of entering the atmosphere seems too intense.
Yeah, I'm thinking that spacesuit must be really, built well if it can, survive plummeting into an atmosphere. Like, yeah,
Oh,
that was probably my major thing that kind of bothered me about this episode was that Parajet stuff. Like, it just seemed so implausible. Like,
It's
totally.
outrageous, but
Yeah,
I
exactly.
accept the.
well, with
I
him not
accept
being
Right, it kind of reminds me of like the Rocketeer.
yeah, with him not burning up going into the atmosphere there, that explains why my burritos are always cold in the damn center there whenever we cook them.
Got to rotate them. Always
Oh, that's an
rotate your
argument
burritos.
for this being plausible.
Yes.
That suit is made of incredible stuff.
Ooh, I actually have some notes on those suits.
Oh,
I can
cool.
try to not spend a lot of time trying to find them. By the way, regarding Smith's first game of chess with a robot, a syndicated newspaper piece. Guy Williams. Sorry, I'm skipping over stuff that's not really applicable. Guy Williams was once a ranking tournament chess player, and has found an unexpected use for his skill at the game behind the scenes of Lost in Space. So he did a lot of playing chess between scenes and between shooting.
Cool.
which I did not know. A lot of stuff I didn't really know.
Well, from what I understand, being an actor can be incredibly boring because you're doing the same scene over and over and over. And when you have to wait in between takes, it's nice to have a game to play.
Exactly, yes. And something like chess is actually pretty nice because it makes time go by. And it's a long game. It's not something that's over with quick. I guess something like that or solitaire. But I'll cover the part about the uniforms when I get there. When we get there. So you can
Oh,
see
God.
Smith's not looking very happy, and it looks like he's got something on his mind, unfortunately.
Yeah, with that solitaire comment there, I used to have a great uncle there. He'd be playing solitaire, then all of a sudden he'd put like a black 6 on a black 7, and someone go, "You can't do that." And he goes, "There's a reason it's called solitaire."
There you go. You can change the rules all your time, all you want, all the time, and nobody's going to complain, right?
Right.
So here we have where Professor Robinson embarks out into deep space, and using those fair thrusters on his arm, he's going to, I guess, land on the planet. So that's
Yeah,
always
and
a
in
good
case we
idea.
don't talk about them, the teleplay is by Norman Lessing and the story is by Shimon Winselberg.
Correct.
Yeah,
So we will see.
Winselberg did the
Go
stories, I
ahead.
think, for like the first 5 episodes or something, I believe,
Well, they're
which
probably
is
saying
good.
that because he wrote right because he wrote the first pilot, which was broken up into 5 episodes. So that's probably why they're
Yeah,
mentioning the name.
yeah.
I
So
wish he
basically,
wrote the whole series because I'm really enjoying his work here.
yeah, his writing is good. Definitely, probably one of the better writers.
Yeah. Hungry says Dr. Smith played solitaire with ethics.
Right. So Professor Robinson heads down to check out the planet, to check out the environment, and see if it's hostile or habitable. And it's right about this point, I believe, is where he realizes that his parajets are out of fuel for some odd, strange coincidence. And they've got some interference with the radio, and here's where Don is adjusting it. And now at this point, Professor Robinson is being pulled in by the gravity of the planet.
I have to be right back.
Go for it. And of course, down below, Smith is not bothering to pay any attention to what's going on upstairs. And he's just down there playing with the robot, almost as if he already knows what's going to happen. Let's just say that way. Let's say it that way. So that's why Smith is saying must be approaching the first atmosphere layer. I mean, honestly, if you had, think about it, guys. I mean, I know Jill's not here to answer. She probably would know the answer to this. But if the slim chance you had to land on a planet like he's doing, wouldn't you have to be in a rotation around it, like an orbit, and then slowly circle in towards the planet rather than going straight in, or would that help, or no? What do you guys think?
I have
That'd
no
help,
idea.
but I don't think you have. It'd be like cooler. And you have like more gradual landing.
Well, the thing is, how does he even survive? Like, how does he even land without the parajets? Like, that's the one thing in this episode that really.
He does later on when they find him. He says that they kick. Well, later on, he mentions when they find him that they kicked in 100 feet above the ground.
Oh, really? Okay, but he didn't burn to a
Yes.
cinder. Okay.
Yeah, he should have
Right.
died on impact. He should have died
Oh.
on impact.
That's pretty funny. I forgot that part. 100 feet. That's not much.
No, it's not much.
No, that'd be like he started decelerating at 10 stories.
Right. Full speed
Yeah.
until then.
Yeah, he'd be going pretty fast, and then to all of a sudden, decelerate with 100 feet left. I think he probably would have been like scrambled eggs. I mean, the physics just don't make sense, really. I'd like to hear Jill's take on it, though, because she's probably a little more scientifically minded than I am. So
That's what I figured. I know she's going to say that it's all horse wash, whatever they call that.
Yeah, something like that.
But there was notes. Go ahead, Gorilla.
I was gonna say maybe we could get Jill swearing on the science of this.
You never know, right? It might just blow her mind where she can't control herself.
That would be funny.
During this scene, they did receive a note from the network, and it was by request of the network. They said designed futuristic chess pieces so that the robot is able to grab them, and they want the robot to be able to play chess with Dr. Smith. So that was actually the network's idea as well.
Yeah, that's
So
why
that's
it
why
had
you
that
see.
little, the little
All right,
attachment thing. Yeah.
we got 4
Correct.
chats here.
Go ahead, Gorilla, if you could pick them up, pull them up for
Yeah.
me. Thank you.
All right, lemon pie, Sean. I don't find Pizza Hut amazing, but they are consistently decent at least. I don't know. I don't even know where the closest Pizza Hut is to me. They're lemon side hungry. Is there any other way? Phantom Boomer. He's gonna be toast even with the Jets. Looks like a record for a Halo jump.
I guess you could say that.
Heh.
Probably a record that won't be repeated, I imagine.
Oh man, as we get back to Dr. Smith in this episode, I want to mention that I want to start a list of reasons and excuses that Dr. Smith gives as to why he can't contribute. And the first
wonderful idea.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a long list.
Hey, can we make a list of times I think he should have been shot too?
Yeah,
That'd be another long list.
yeah, that'd be another long list. Like
I
just
was-
about every episode. Like
I would have shot him in this
Multiple.
episode.
Sure, but the first time it was his heart, and this time it's his fear of heights.
Yes, batophobia.
yeah,
Another thing I really love is how they interject literacy into the show. With the William Shakespeare here, he says, "There's a special providence in the fall of a sparrow." And also Samuel Butler. And look before you leap, for as you sow, ye are like to reap. And so I think it's just really cool that that stuff is included. But
Yeah.
now I have to go away again.
uh-oh.
Go ahead, Jill.
Uh-oh.
It's fine.
Well, Jill, at least
And
you
by the
win the
way-
internet today.
And by the way, Gorilla, those things behind Dr. Smith, that's her food.
What are they feeding him? Fucking gerbil food?
Pretty much.
That looks like gerbil food to me.
Well, here's what it is when this was the 60s, so they were thinking like astronauts would be using, because astronauts originally used a lot of dietary supplements because they didn't have a lot of space to carry a lot of food. So the idea for the Robinson family here was they were going to use those supplements until they land on a planet and start growing their own food. So that's
So this
another thing.
episode's-
Go ahead.
Oh, keep going.
Well, so I was just going to say that. So that's another reason why it's such an urgency for them to land on a planet, not only so they can repair their ship, but they want to start growing real food, which we will
Okay,
eventually see.
So this episode's sponsored by Pfizer.
I guess, and I'm sure Pfizer has been around then too.
All right, so according to Hungry Hippo, Hungry for UFO. I was gonna say Hungry Hippo here, but sorry about he's laughing because Jill wins the internet for the day / internet. Dr. Smith has a trick knee. Leave him alone.
Right.
Yeah, well, he's tricky, all right. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Astronauts drank Tang. Also,
I remember.
Dr. Smith stubbed his toe yesterday. Dr. Smith has kidney stones. Those things are no joke. Those are like a fucking bitch. But I won't go to the doctor for a goddamn kidney stone. I'll just go down to the dollar store, grab a gallon of cranberry juice, then I'll run to the liquor store, grab some fucking vodka.
Vodka.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Hey, cranberry juice will dissolve kidney stones. If you don't like cranberry juice, just add vodka until you do.
There you go. Water it
Yeah,
down,
even-
right?
Even if it doesn't dissolve right away, you won't feel the pain as much. So,
Right. Just remember, push.
yeah, my mom had kidney stone one time, and it didn't sound like it was much fun. That's for sure.
Oh, I used to work with this guy. It ran in his family. Can you imagine?
Oh,
He always had
really?
them constantly. Yes.
Yikes! That would be bad.
I know. I was thinking, yeah, it sucks to be him, huh?
Wow. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, didn't drink enough cranberry juice.
Yeah, that's obviously it. And it looks like I'm
And-
going to have to work on that Stream Elements bot. It's double posting, so I
Uh-oh.
will tweak that later on.
Yeah, mine gets a little eager with posting the links too. I need to figure it out.
Yeah, the Phantom says not fun. Lemon Pie says I've had stones twice. It sucks. So Lemon Pie, just grab your cranberry juice and your vodka. You'll be good. Kill the liver to save the kidney. Yeah, right. Hey, Sean, you don't need your liver. You don't need your liver. Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yep, exactly.
No, this Dream Element bot must have been programmed by Dr. Smith.
Speaking of bots, one thing I forgot to mention, I had to run away. When they do the Samuel Butler quote for, what you sow is what you reap. Mr. Smith responds, if I didn't know better, I think that there was some morality in you, which is interesting to tell. If it's interesting for me to wonder if this is foreshadowing for the development of this robot. Not having seen future episodes, I find the thought interesting that this robot will break free of its programming later to see if because so far this robot seems to be about as intelligent and as intuitive as artificial intelligence that we have today. And already it's really cool that this show has predicted this much advancement in the 60s. But it'll be even neater to see if the robot will eventually exceed that.
The thing is,
we don't want to give away too much on this. We don't want to spoil. But you're close, Jill.
But yeah, as Dr. Smith, when he programs different things, I mean, the robot does have the ability to learn, right? So yeah.
So Jill, we did have a question for you though. He did not be able to activate his jets until he got to about 100 feet from the ground, which would be about a 10-story building there. How feasible is it that he didn't go splat on the ground there?
I don't think it's very likely. The whole thing is completely unlikely. So his landing on the planet is just necessary for the show to move on.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, like, what speed would he actually be going by the time he got 100 feet away from the ground?
Terminal velocity.
I think it'd be so fast. There's no way you're going to stop in 100 feet, without turning into Jello or something, right? So.
Well, they do, right? They do establish a little later on that the planet is almost Earth-like, so I'm guessing the gravity is similar. So about as fast as you'd be falling on Earth, somewhere around there.
Yeah, well, they're not floating around, obviously, when they land. So I mean, it must be pretty similar gravity, I would think, right? So.
Yeah, it looks like we got Jill's #1 fan here in the chat.
Matt G.
And he only talks to Jill here.
Hello, Matt G.
Yeah,
good to see you, Matt G. Welcome.
President of the Jill fan club.
And I don't want to give away spoilers, but the problem we're talking about with Professor Robinson going down to the planet is resolved by the 3rd season. They do find a way to do that better and more efficiently and more believable.
Well, you think they'd solve it after this episode?
I know, but it was they had spent so much on the first few episodes. I think that's why they had to kind of spare it out. They did the same thing on Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, another Irwin Allen show. Later on, they modified the main ship to where it had the benefit of being able to scout about. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that was cool too.
So here's where we have Professor Robinson, expectedly, out of control and headed towards the planet with the gravity pulling him in. And they're trying to tell him to try to activate the jets, and he's telling them that he can't. And that's when they start saying, well, how Don starts questioning and wondering because he says that doesn't make sense. That he had checked those jets earlier. And of course, Will's already thinking Dad's dead, and all Dr. Smith can say is you must learn to take your misfortunes like a man. He's already written off Professor Robinson like he's already dead.
Well, he's hoping, right?
He's hoping, right? Well, right now in his mind, he figures eliminate each one of them one by one, I guess, so he could take that ship and get back to Earth.
Oh yeah, Smith is he's extra weasel-like in this scene for sure.
Yes, and throughout the whole episode, and the fact that they play chess is a theme throughout the episode where he's treating everybody like pawns that are in his way.
Pawns, right? Good observation. Yeah.
All right, Matt G, we made him really laugh with this one here. We get a bunch of laughs. He's all, hello, everybody. He says, hello, everybody else.
Hello, Matt G. Good to see you.
Ahoy, Scotty R37. Ahoy. And yes,
Hello,
they are
Scotty.
on yes, they are on another planet. It looks like a Venus planet. And yo, Scotty and Matt G. And hello, R37. Flames. Hi, Matt G. Hi, I like chess shows. Phantom Boomer and Scotty R37. They're cheers. All right. Oh, it's Captain Finity. Welcome, Captain Finity.
Hey, Captain.
So here's we have where Professor Robinson heading down to the planet, and Dr. Smith doesn't seem to be too concerned. In fact, he seems to be probably overjoyed and trying to control his elation, I imagine.
Well, yeah, when he starts talking about going back to Earth, it's not exactly too subtle either, right?
No, exactly. Now that somebody's supposedly dying right now, yes.
Yeah, he kind of gives it all away I think with that line, He's like, well, let's go back to Earth.
And this is what makes him suspicious, because Don says the Parajets are in perfect working order because he had just checked them out. And that's when Will mentions that he saw Dr. Smith
actually, it was
Parajet.
Penny, actually, I think.
Oh, Penny? Penny
Yeah.
said that she saw Dr. Smith messing with the Parajets not too long ago. And this is what makes Don highly suspicious.
Mm.
And of course, that's why he said, unless you... And of course, he asks him here directly if you tamper with the Parajets. And then, like, Dr. Smith is not going to tell him the truth for sure. So instead, like a politician, he basically diverts the question.
Yeah, that's the thing with Mr. Smith. His deception and villainy is actually really well balanced to where he's really selfish, but he's not overly cartoonish.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Dr. Smith, he's an interesting character. Like, even though in some ways he's black and white, in a lot of ways he's got a lot of gray areas too, right? So he is an interesting character, and the writers do, of course, learn to, write a lot more complex things about him as the series progresses. So that's fun.
Right. The more he grew into the character, the more the writers started to realize it and start fleshing it out better.
Exactly.
So here's where they're realizing the heat from the ship is getting hotter and hotter, so they're turning the coolant system, or we would call air conditioning, or environmental control, I guess you could say, on board their ship. So it's going to be getting a lot hotter now that they're going to head down to the planet. So they figure they have a fix on the area where they think that the professor would have landed.
That's another thing. Even though I am concerned about John, I'm very happy that he is stepped away for a bit so that Maureen can do some stuff.
Yes, I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah, true.
And of course, Dr. Smith immediately, I find with the loss of some 200 pounds of weight, now a reasonable good chance.
Yeah, he's not exactly in mourning
to the
mode
green
here.
hills of Earth. No. And all that does is make them more suspicious, of course, which I don't blame them.
Oh, yeah. He totally gives his hand away, really.
Yeah, I think that's the point. At this point, Smith thinks he's won. Now that he thinks John is out of the picture, he's going into full villain mode.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think my 2-year-old listens better than Dad does on this when he's giving him instructions. He goes, no, I can do this. I want to check it out. I'll get a better view. I was like, I'm pretty sure my 2-year-old listens better than that.
And I have a note here I wanted to share about this scene here. Dr. Smith is demonstrating the strength of the robot because he's trying to take over control of the ship. So he reminds them, and I'm going to read from the book. If I can get to the right place here. Marvelous piece of work constructed, I believe, to withstand a pressure of 10,000 pounds per square inch. Tell me, my friend, do you think you're robot enough to crush this helmet? Affirmative. You have my permission to do so. A set of long steel claws emerges from the robot's arms. He takes the helmet and crushes it like an eggshell. And then Smith says, much as I detest violence, it can be done just as easily with your head inside. Now you will fire all rockets and we shall leave this vale of tears and head back to Earth.
Yeah. Now, I had a kind of an issue here crap! I forgot what I was going to say now.
Let me finish my note real quick. Mark Goddard had a note about this scene, a comment. Mark Goddard is Don, who's standing on the right of the robot right there. I remember one time when Bobby was inside the robot suit, and the robot was supposed to be able to do something. He was powerful and strong, and Smith was trying to get the robot to do something to show us he had the robot in his control, and then he could take over the control of the ship. He took one of those astronaut helmets. They had one real one and a phony one made of eggshell. Smith puts the eggshell into the robot's arms, and he said, "I will show you how powerful he is. He will crush this helmet." The next thing you hear is a loud squeezing sound coming from inside the robot. Bob didn't have the strength to crush it, and that broke everybody up.
Uh-oh.
Right, a reminder, it's still a guy in a suit, guys.
Still, he
All
did
right, go ahead.
eventually. He did crush it though. In the
Yeah, that
scene,
is
so
funny to
they
break
must have
the
figured it out.
the
I feel
fantasy
sorry.
of the
I
show.
feel sorry. I feel sorry for him in that
Yeah.
in that robot.
But where's someone sneaking off to go get the phaser rifle for this guy? Or at least I will punched him out because that robot there cannot move that fast. They could have knocked his ass out and got away from the robot all at the same time.
Well, yeah, that's another flaw. I thought too.
It's
like
possible, but I wouldn't Go ahead.
Don could have tried to just run. He could have just ran away and got a laser rifle and lasered the robot if worse came to worse. I guess.
But just remember, don't underestimate the robot.
Yeah,
That's right. Someone
gotta have the
does
drama,
try to
too.
pull the laser rifle on the robot later
Right,
in this
and see-
episode, and we see what happens.
And
He
that's
can
why you have to
defend
look
himself.
on.
Well, that's because he gave it
Right.
forewarning.
Right, that's why you have. But that's why you have that look right there on Don's face, because he doesn't know what to expect from the robot. They don't understand at this
Yeah.
point exactly how much he has the robot programmed.
And it's not like he does nothing. I think this is really great what he does here.
Oh yeah, it saves the day for sure.
Yeah, Don uses his knowledge as a pilot to throw everyone off balance and capture Smith and choke him.
That's a fun scene when he's got Smith in the headlock.
Yeah, it shows what a great first officer he is. Even though he doesn't have that official title, he plays it very well, and especially when he decides to put Dr. Smith in the deep freeze. It's just some good stuff.
Well,
It
Don's
is.
got no love of Dr. Smith, that's for sure.
No, and Don is not afraid to show it either.
Oh
I
yeah.
have a note here from June Lockhart. June Lockhart, who played Marine, she's right there. She said the costumes were unbearably hot. They were really racing car drivers' fireproof aluminum suits. We had to wear them because there was no fabric which had the same look. Underneath, we wore body stockings so we could drop the tops down and be comfortable, at least from the waist up.
Huh.
And they were so tight, we couldn't sit down in them. When we moved, we were all very stiff-legged. In order to rest between shots, I had to hold somebody's hand and be lowered back onto a cot. And then he helped to stand me up. Otherwise, I couldn't get my legs under me. You could see how stiff the costumes were. Watch when Lockhart assists Kristen, who is Judy, out of her crash seat after the Jupiter 2 crashes. So there's a note on that. So there were also race car suits because they were fireproof, but unfortunately they don't breathe very well, so that makes them very hot.
So they were hot as well as stiff. You told us last time that they had to rest on boards.
Yes, right. I had that picture that showed them on that board-looking thing.
Yeah, I think you did. Was it Billy Mooney that was on the board? I think.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so here's where Don wrestles Dr. Smith, grabs him by the throat, and basically restricts him from talking. And he says, if you say the wrong words, basically I'll snap your neck. I can't remember the exact words, but it was basically I'll choke you or I'll break your neck. So he gives Dr. Smith a direct order to only say certain words to the robot.
I think he said it'll be
And
the
that
last
is-
breath you take or something.
That's it. Last breath you take. Right. They do word it where it's not so violent, right?
True.
So he says, tell the robot to go back to your compartment. And of course, at first Smith hesitates and doesn't want to do that. But then when Don tightens his grip around his neck, and Don reminds him, deviate by one symbol, one breath, and it'll be your last. There you go. That's the words. And he repeats it. And then the robot does exactly what he's told. Right, and this is what Jill was talking about. So he grabs Dr. Smith, strong arms him, throws him into the freezing chamber, and then puts him in a deep freeze. So I thought that was a good idea too. Get him out of the way while they try to figure out what's going on with the professor.
Oh yeah, totally.
And here's where they're getting ready to land the ship and enter the atmosphere. The rockets are malfunctioning because it looks like Smith has been tampering with those as well. And now this is where she goes downstairs and makes sure everybody's strapped into those crash seats. And as you can see, the ship's already rocketing. And now as the ship heads into the atmosphere and gets ready to crash, Don puts himself into the freezing chamber as well so that he's not thrown around the ship and gets injured. And then sets it on automatic pilot or automatic land. And there's Marine. Basically, I like this too because they're all scared. And then Will basically smiles for her to help her cheer up. So I kind of like that scene.
I think this is some incredible acting because you can tell that this is a forced smile, that it's not real, and that he's doing this on purpose. I think, anyway, to try and cheer up his family in a time of peril, showing some kind of early leadership skills.
Yeah, I think it's a great scene, like when they all smile at each other to kind of reassure each other that everything's going to be all right. Like I think it's a really cool scene.
I kind of got an issue with this planet.
Oh,
now it has the atmosphere on it so thick that their sensors can't penetrate it. That's why John had to go full Halo mode on it. So what did so depending on how far it is away from the sun, either it should be so completely hot it'd be melting lead and all that like Venus, or so bitterly cold nothing can survive on it like Mars.
Well, they do explain that the weather, we haven't gotten that far in the episode, but they do explain a little bit about the weather, which I think might fill you in on some of your questions.
Yeah, the weather does come into the storyline later on.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but the weather still didn't make sense when I was watching it there.
But now they're saying that when they land, it's very cold when they establish when they land.
The thing is, too, Gorilla, there are episodes coming up where the weather becomes more of a factor. I don't want to give too much away, but
okay. No, but what I'm saying is, if it's that cold that they have to have parkas on it, nothing should be alive down there.
Unless it looks like a desert.
Unless they arrive in winter.
Or the life forms have learned to adapt to the temperature, which would be the case, right?
Maybe I'm overthinking this. All right.
Well, it's like there's fish down down deep in the ocean where it's extremely cold and where there's high pressure that normal things couldn't live under, but they've learned to adapt.
Yeah, it's
so it's possible that an alien atmosphere that there would be aliens that could adapt to that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how it lives in the deep oceans.
All right. Phantom Boomer says hello, Matt G and Scotty R37, and Scotty says Finity. Matt G says hello, Boomer. I thought it was okay, Boomer. Captain Finity smiling. And Scotty says ahoy, Boomer. Living Pie says Scotty hi again. Matt G's clapping or waving. Lemon. Dr. Smith is a master manipulator. I about read that wrong there. But, Scotty.
Tisk, Gorilla.
Hey, I caught myself. Phantom Boomers say hail to the stream elements there. Sky is questioning life support. Phantom Boomer says June Lockhart owned a fire truck. She liked to drive it to the studio.
And another thing too, she was a deadhead and she was big into rock music.
Cool.
She Billy Mooney said in numerous episodes that she introduced him to rock music and took him to a whole bunch of concerts. So it sounded like she was a really fun person.
Wow, yeah, nothing like her image really, because she's got such a clean cut image, right? But
Yep.
If she's getting into rock and roll, that's cool.
That's what he said, right? She was nothing like the image, right?
Yeah.
And I want to mention really quick, this was the second episode to be scored by John Williams, following the Reluctant Stowaway.
Yeah, the John Williams music is really cool in the landing sequence. I really liked that a lot. There was some really cool music there.
Yeah,
That could be what's so enjoyable about this show is that when it mostly has visual stuff to look at, the music also follows as being very entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes, and it gets even better, which you will see.
Well, the thing
Jeff
is,
Bond,
I love
ahead.
this landing sequence. The whole landing sequence, I think, is just really awesomely done. It's really good.
And I'll go ahead and mention now, since we're showing the landing sequence, it was all shot in color because Irwin Allen knew that the series would eventually be in color. So it was shot in color, and then they showed it in black and white for these black and white episodes. So we will see these scenes later on, the exact same ones in color. And Jeff Bond, writing for the March 2015 issue of Famous Monsters, said, Williams created a brilliant, shrill accompaniment to the crash landing sequence engineered by miniature effects specialists Howard and Theodore Lydecker. Williams also created some bouncing music for the Robinsons' treaded chariot vehicle that he would continue to develop with an epic brass theme in the Hungry Sea. With the spectacular sequence of the chariot, I don't want to give away too much because we'll be seeing that next episode. But yeah, all right. So this is where they crash land. And it looks like they made it. Thank goodness. It looks like there's a few scratches and burns here and there.
Oh, it's good. Can we catch up on the chat? We got a lot of it.
Please do. Thank you.
Yeah, Matt G says, man, this Lassie episode is weird. Scotty says, Smith always thinks he's won. Phantom Boomer says, Dr. Smith needs to fall down a well and stay there. No help from Lassie.
Lassie would be frozen solid in this atmosphere.
Yeah, stream elements there. Then Matt G says, I asked Doomcock once to do a Smith impression. He said he had never tried it before. Scotty says, has no one laser rifled the robot yet? Nope, I've been bitching about that. That's my automatic F there, right there. But Don is the man. Hey, this is the best stream elements post yet.
Just there it is. Check out Gorilla's Rampage channel, everybody.
I'm kidding. Everybody has wonderful channels. I'm just kidding. Great pilot and good friend. Ooh, Star Trek OST one of one. Laser rifle is out in 1 month. I wear body stockings on weekends, according to Scotty. And Captain Finity says the stockings on weekends. Nemesis of Eden's got a promotion here. Hungry Hippo says the cast would have been better off with Lyrica painted with metallics. Matt G says there was never released Lost in Space Forbidden Planet crossover. Hey, where are you assholes been? Right. And welcome, Jim's Landscaping. Welcome. Hello. Lemon Pie says body stockings on days ending in Y.
Hi, Jim.
Jim.
Hello, good to see you, Jim.
Hello, Jim. This looks better than I remember. And Jim's Landscaping says Scott Captain. Phantom Boomer says hello at Jim's Landscaping. Puppy video. Apparently he has a puppy video out, Jim. Boom, says Scotty. Hola, dear Scottimus, says Hungry. And Hungry, a Boomer. Scottimus, I do hope that sticks, according to Captain Affinity. It won't. And Hungry says, Will smile at fortitude is foreshadowing for later eps. No spoilers. Okay, Scottimus. LOL, Cap. And we're getting martinis, lemons, or beers. Now we're getting some champagne. And holy crap, these chats keep going. We love
the chat, that's for sure.
When I was a kid, I was super impressed on how they flew the spacecraft. I think I only ever saw the wires once.
Yeah, they did a good job filming that sequence. It looks really good.
And Hungry Hippo says the episode did a great job on making this planet look like a hellhole in 65. Hungry's channel. Captain Affinity says, Lemon, you're right. This is comprehensive chat reading. Most impressive.
Yes, thanks to Gorilla. He's doing a splendid job. I appreciate it, Gorilla.
Yeah. There's Pickles channel. This guy says, how many times does this ship crash?
This is the first time.
Yep,
Yeah.
this is the first time.
And according to Hungry, more than Samantha Bee. This guy says, no sense. Nomics came out in 1967, whatever the heck that is. Hungry says, maybe the ship Jupiter 2 was made by the flat car company.
Fiat.
Yeah.
Fiat.
Oh,
It's an
Fiat.
Italian brand. Fiat, yes.
Oh, yeah. Because that's, I remember those cars. The reason it's called a Fiat because it means fix it again, Tony.
Well, it's these little bitty cars, and they had a dealership of them here, like for a little while, but it didn't last long because I'm in Texas.
I had a friend who bought one. Yeah, when I was in the Air Force, I had a friend who bought one, and it was the type that when you turn on the headlights would lift out of the hood. But it was funny because they would only open them one at a time. The left one would open and then close. The right one would open and close. The left one would open and close. And the right one would open and close.
So you mean Tony couldn't fix that?
No, Tony couldn't fix. Well, actually, it was funny. He bought it from Hungarian.
Here's Sean's Carter's channel. Says that's Los Angeles in '65. Apparently, the desert and wasteland.
Desert wasteland. Yes.
That's more like nowadays.
Without the pollution.
Hungry's laughing his ass off. Ford. Ford does not stand for fails on race day. It's fucking old remodeled Dodge. And Sky says, God bless Texas. And finally caught up. Captain Finity says the stars shine bright. And here's Bird's thing here.
All right, check out Border Praise channel.
All right, now we're all caught up. Ugh, my voice needs a rest.
All right, my turn. I'll take over.
That was a long.
Thank you, Gorilla. Great job, Gorilla. Thank you. And so this is where the Robinson vessel has landed onto the planet. As we can see, there's a few things that are still burning. So here we have where it looks like the family is still somewhat passed out. The ship is still, there's some electrical shortages and things like that going on, but everybody's relatively safe. And it looks like Judy's the first one to wake up. And of course, her first concern is to Don. Yeah. So she heads over to Don to wake him up.
Oh, I know what I forgot to mention. You know how then they started going down in the atmosphere, everybody is sweating so bad? They're sweating so bad inside the Jupiter there when they're going in the atmosphere. How the hell did, what's his name, or John there survive that? They're sweating inside the Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, yeah. I guess by sheer luck. Maybe you caught a draft.
Well, no, you answered it earlier. It's because when you microwave a burrito, it's still cold in the middle.
There you go.
But here's
you know I'm gonna be keeping to that joke with these costumes.
It works for me. I mean, it's Lost in Space. It's not gonna follow all the rules of the physics, and every time we're gonna find something that isn't plausible. So it's fun to come up with things like that help us get through it.
Yeah, and this was the mid-60s.
This is a great Galaxy Quest moment, prophetic. So in Galaxy Quest, everybody wants to open the door to get in on the planet, and of course the guy says, "Is there air? You don't know."
Right. And they do think about that here, so that's a good thing, right?
It is. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest?
Yeah, the movie Galaxy Quest.
When did that come out? What year did that come out?
90s? I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Oh, it's 90s. Shoot. My pick says for 80s movies next month.
Well, 80s is an excellent decade for movies. My God, I could list them forever.
Yeah, Jerm got 5 picks this month.
I'm not surprised. I could go on and on. There's so many movies from the 80s. I can go on from just 1982.
Yeah. Well, it's Jerm's 80s picks this month there. So we just got done with a documentary about the mayor of Chicago there called Beetlejuice.
And
okay,
finally,
only one
Finally,
left.
we get to see the robot do his stuff here.
Right. So this is where they tell the robot to basically go out and do an environmental scan of the planet and to check to see if it's habitable or not. So of course, Will does his best impersonation of Dr. Smith, and the robot falls for it, and you can see robots. Will is very happy. Here we have him impersonating Dr. Smith. We need an environmental estimate, my good man. And fortunately, the robot thinks it's Dr. Smith and heads out to do its job.
We actually
And
saw
this is
him
one of the
walking
rare scenes,
again
like
there,
I said,
too.
we won't be seeing later on in the series where the
Yeah.
robot's actually walking.
Yeah, after you told me that every time that
And I
guy
remember
walks,
this is something that
his
Captain Finity was asking
legs are
about a couple
getting.
weeks ago on his channel, and I told him,
Yeah, that must have been pretty rough when it.
yeah, it's very difficult for him to walk. His legs were getting all cut up. But I'm sure he prepared for this scene here. He wasn't as prepared for that first time, but I'm sure he prepared.
Yeah, it was very cool, that little soil
And this is
sampler. That was
how
cool.
he gets an environmental. This kind of, what's interesting about this? This kind of reminds me. He picks up a soil sampler.
Yeah,
or
like
soil
just
sam-
like real rovers that we land
Yeah.
on the Mars and Moon.
Yeah, that was very cool. Like for 1965 to have, the robot be able to
Pop
sample
culture
the soil
curator,
like that.
you are roboting a bit. I don't know if it's just for you or for everybody.
I heard it. I heard a little bit. Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Roboting, as we're talking about robots taking samples of the soil.
There
The
we go.
radiation content of the soil is negative.
And with that, they're able to scan the sample and tell what.
Oh, your mic's cutting out, Pop.
Yeah, we heard you clear for a moment and then you cut out again.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I had a stupid pop-up asking me if I want to log into my Google OneDrive. I'm like, what? So I apologize, guys, for that. I don't know what you heard or didn't hear. So I'll go ahead.
That's bloatware, Pop Culture. You got to go through all your apps and just uninstall a bunch of stuff.
I usually keep it relatively clean. I think it's Google, and it probably came with Chrome. So you're right. I need it because when I installed Chrome to use only for one specific reason, but unfortunately, you get everything that came with it. And you're right. I need to trim it down and get rid of that.
When you install it, you got to make sure to do advanced so you can not install the extra stuff it wants you to package. It wants to package with it.
Yeah, you know what? Right. And even when you get notifications, they should not be designed to shut everything down and stop everything so that you will pay attention to the notification. I mean, why can't it just be a little thing in the background, right? Yeah, because it basically cut off my mic and it was cutting off my internet. It was like, what?
Wow. That sucks.
Well, you're back now. I'm glad to hear it. But you were telling us about the samples.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you heard, but I was just saying that.
It
reminds me of the vehicles we have on the. We sent some to the moon, but now we have several on Mars. Now we even have a little drone up there that flies around Mars, and it reminds me of that, where it takes soil samples, pulls them into the Mars rover, and then it takes samples of them and it examines them and then sends the results back to Earth. So I thought it's kind of cool. That's what reminded me when they show the robot getting soil samples. So sorry if that's repetitive, what you guys already heard.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. And it's really great that parallels here.
Right. So this is when the robot makes it back into the ship and they read the report. And here's where, and he even, if you guys are wondering, Gorilla, you were talking about the temperature. They give us the exact temperature. It's not in metrics, or it's not in Celsius, but it's in degrees of Fahrenheit, 35. So that's the temperature on the planet currently. And as we mentioned earlier, that the temperature on this planet does come to play.
Yeah. Oh, finally, we got a science fiction show that used freedom units. Alrighty, we got a lot of chats again.
Thank you, Gorilla.
All right, Scotty's now they're giving me some Rotten Tomato scores. Scotty says one out of 5. Libin's mostly impressed there. Thank you, Captain. Said good.
What is that in reference to?
What?
1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. F out of F.
Half
Or
out of it.
1/5?
Half. Yeah. Captain says 1.03T69 out of 5, I feel.
Suppose Captain is more generous.
Yeah. Sky says, hey, Don is doing stuff. What are we making?
Marking is a term for grading.
Okay.
What are we grading?
I put a poll in the chat if you guys would like to vote on this episode when we get to the end. Let us know what you think. I think maybe what he's talking about.
Okay, Hungry's laughing. Says, I back those decimals, Cap. Captain Boomer says, Nomex is a fire retardant material. Race driver suits are made from it.
Which is interesting because usually Captain Infinity doesn't like dividing a fraction by a whole number. I'm okay with it.
All right, Captain.
Maybe that's what Scotty meant with the 1/5.
Yeah. Captain Face says, Hungry, I was 82.6784% sure you would. Sky says, you don't know. Sky
you
says
don't
99.
know.
Captain says negative 39. Captain says negative 30 plus 12. Ruined that joke. Life. Sky says my mistake. Captain says definitely suspecting that the big silver guy with the round glass head isn't human. Call it instinct. Little Pie says I should have another beer. Scotty. Sky is chopping broccoli. Cheers.
Google what?
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Hungry says bloody StreamYard has Kurtzmaning us. Lemon Pie says my doctor says and my garage mechanic agrees. Yes, I should.
As long as you're not one and the same.
All right, let's visit Dalek's channel. Scotty said, I heard everything, but I wasn't listening. Please, jokes. Let's visit.
I'm not a comedian.
This is Euler Greg's channel. Captain Infinity says, a blonde walks into the bar. She has a salami under one arm and a poodle under another. Scotty says, does anyone know if the Stream Elements pod is single? I think they're hot.
I like how Scotty doesn't assume the Stream Elements bot's gender.
So it's a there.
Yeah. Captain Infinity said from the Breakfast Club. The captain says, Phantom Boomer, another Saturday for you, Bender. All right.
Okay, sounds good. So they got the environmental report from the robot. Looks like it'll be okay, but they said it might be a good idea to put on some parkas. Don said he'll assemble the chariot, as he said. And this is also a note from the studio about the robot. You guys will see the robot's tucked in the back of the chariot. It was a note from the studio that they wanted the robot to be able to fit into the chariot and to figure out a way to get him in there without his legs. So I know as we were, me at least, when I grew up watching this show, it's pretty much like I figured. Because you can always see the robot behind in the back of the chariot. So I figured the robot legs were detachable, and then his main section is probably sitting back there, and his legs are probably like in a compartment inside the chariot. And I hadn't realized that that was a note from the studio. So I'm happy for that.
You know, I think the chariot is awesomely cool, but I'm kind of thinking, like, where did they store it in the ship?
Yeah, that ship is very big on the inside.
Yeah, it's kind of like a TARDIS, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, because that's pretty good sized vehicle.
Or it would have taken him a half a year to assemble it if it was a bunch of small pieces.
Oh, probably, yeah. But I think chariot is very cool looking though. It's awesome.
But, hey, it's supposed to be the future. Maybe it's collapsible.
Or you push a button right and it all just pops open.
That's it.
But I do agree.
Because we got inflatable rafts that can fit. I got an inflatable raft that can fit 3 people, and it can fit in a desk drawer.
Oh, very cool.
Let's face it. Professor Robinson, landed on a planet going like 10,000 miles an hour, and stopping at the last 100 feet. So anything's plausible.
And I do want to agree with you, PvP. I love the design of the chariot as well.
It's very
And
cool.
I want you. It's
Yeah.
very cool. They only built one for the show, and I want to mention that you will find videos on YouTube where people went searching for it and it had been abandoned, and they restored it, so it
Cool.
is now in working condition.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very, very awesome vehicle.
Yeah, they didn't skimp on money.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Well, that's one thing. Irwin Allen shows are always good on like the model work,
Yes, I agree.
yeah, and things like the Chariot. Yeah, they always did a first-rate job on Irwin Allen shows.
So off to go to the Robinsons. They leave Dr. Smith in the freezing tube while they head out to go look for Professor Robinson. So here's where we get our first look at the planet and the landscape. And of course, for anybody, we'll cover when we get there. Now they're talking about the infrared scanner, so they're going to use the infrared scanner to locate John, which makes sense. I mean, make him up by his body heat. And by the way, I'm not sure when they mentioned it, but this is the first planet they land on, and it's going to end up with the name Pre-Planus. So if anybody's wondering the name of the planet, that's it, Pre-Planus. And off goes the Chariot. And here we have the family looking for Dawn following the scanner. And they've already picked up something there, so they're going to head in that direction, obviously. Let me hide this really quick. There we go. There's a scanner, and there's a blip on the scanner that shows temperature. So they figured, let's head in that direction. And yes, this is where they disembark, and they figure they reached to where they're close by whatever the blip is on the scanner. And Don asks for the laser rifle, so Will, in his bed Dr. Smith impersonation, has the robot hand him the laser rifle. And when Don starts investigating and searching through the area, he finds Bloop, who we previously mentioned.
Hey, look, it's my long lost ancestor.
There it is, right? Uncle Gorilla. And I was wondering about this. I'm not sure with modern day sensibilities if this would fly, because what Don does is he basically picks up Bloop and brings Bloop back to the Chariot where the family is. And there's, by the way, and just a few feet away from Bloop, we find Professor Robinson passed out in this gully here, or this hole. And you can see he's unconscious at this point. So when they get back to the Chariot with Bloop, I thought it was interesting because the first thing they decide is, well, Debbie, you can have him. So it's or him or her. So it's like, but they don't even think about what if this has a family, with it's a mother.
Right, that's
of a
exactly
family,
what I
it
was
has
thinking.
children.
This is very obviously
like
a juvenile.
Yeah, because imagine if it's like a bear and you see a cub and you say, oh, you can keep the cub. Yeah, put it inside the car. You'll be fine, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, the whole thing about just handing an alien that they have no idea what this creature is about, right? So it's like,
what it has, right?
Just give it to Penny, it'll be fine,
Everything will be fine. No diseases, no nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that always did kind of bug me a little bit in this episode.
Right, they don't confirm that the child, the young creature, is an orphan before adopting it.
Yeah.
They don't know how old it is. They don't know the sex.
Yeah.
But I guess they assume that it's a female. First she says he, but then she says, I'll name it Debbie. So she makes it a she.
Well, they were obviously going, to please the kiddos with this bit.
Yes.
I would say,
And this is where Professor Robinson tries to grab his transmitter and it explodes because apparently we're getting some electricity arcing from those branches. and which destroys the transmitter because she's still trying to call him out there. So just as Don decides he's going to try the Parajets and he's going to go looking for him, then that's when Maureen realizes there's another bloop on the scanner, or I shouldn't say bloop, but a blip on the scanner. And he heads back out there, and just beyond where he found bloop, he sees the hole with Professor Robinson in there. And at this point, he's calling to him, and Professor Robinson starts to wake up. But then as he moves, he realizes that he's trapped in there because for some reason these branches are electrified. And if he touches them, obviously he'll be killed. So Don yells back for them to grab some rope and to call back for the robot. There it is. There's the electricity arcing. And
yeah, which that effect did not age well when I was watching this. It did not age well.
That's what the effects would have looked like if we were covering TOS without the remastered edition. Because it was basically the same effects company, Rankin and Bass. But I want to make a note that we kind of missed past here really quick. Is Don said, bring the robot and some rope. And as they were getting ready to order the robot to help them, the robot made an about face, turned around, and headed and left. Now, they don't know where, but they didn't realize that back on the ship previously, Dr. Smith had programmed the robot to check on him every hour on the hour. So apparently it's time this hour for the robot to go check on Dr. Smith, and they are not aware of this at this point. They just think the robot left them.
But it is now established for future episodes that you can program the robot for scheduled tasks. So we'll see if they use it for other purposes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So without the robot, but with the help of Judy, I think it's Judy who brings the robot to the rope to Don.
Yes.
And then Don's able to help pull up Professor Robinson from the hole. Fortunately, Professor Robinson is okay and he's not harmed by the electricity. And here's where Don's reminding him that they had trouble with their rockets too, same as you. And he says, don't worry about Dr. Smith. He's in the deep, deep freeze. And just as he mentions that, we cut back to the Jupiter 2. And here we have the robot coming in, checking on Dr. Smith. So I guess in a way it was good that Dr. Smith thought about that. Otherwise, he'd still be in the deep freeze. And the robot says, Operation Rescue, as programmed by Dr. Smith. So we have the robot is going to be opening up the freezing tube with Dr. Smith and then waking him up. And a quick note here. I think during this week that this show was being filmed, President Johnson was in the hospital getting his gallbladder removed. And for the first time in U.S. history, the functions of the living president were deliberately transferred to the vice president, Hubert H. Humphrey. And he was put briefly in charge. Jackie Gleason had the cover of TV Guide. People were still flocking to the movie houses to see The Sound of Music, My Fair Lady, Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, and What's New Pussycat. Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire was the song getting the most spins on radio station turntables. The Beatles still had the best-selling long player in stores. That means album for you younger kids. And that album was Help. Many of its tracks were getting radio play, as was customary for Beatles albums. The LP's non-single cuts getting the most attention was The Night Before, You Got to Hide Your Love Away, and You're Going to Lose That Girl. So that's kind of what was going on at the same time this week was produced. So here's where we have the robot opening up the freezing tube and smashing the controls to it to wake up Dr. Smith, of course.
So how'd the robot know to rescue him?
We mentioned it. We forgot to mention in the stream, but I mentioned it a minute ago that earlier, Dr. Smith, when he still had the robot downstairs, he programmed the robot to check on him once every hour on the hour because he did not trust the Robinsons and what they would do to him. Okay. So that's why an hour has passed. We're assuming since the last time the robot checked on him.
Okay, we got a few more chats here.
All right, let me mention this note real quick because it has to do with the scene, and then we'll catch up on the chats. In the original script, the robot was supposed to pull Dr. Smith out of the tube, pat him on the butt, lift him up, and shake him like a rag doll to wake him up. But they figured on the set, well, first of all, Jonathan Harris is not going to let the robot hit him on the butt. And second of all, they don't want to have him shake him like a doll because it looks too violent. So that's why they had to think this scene over carefully on how he would revive Dr. Smith. Okay, now you can read the chats. Thank you, Gorilla.
All right, so we're getting a funny face for Phantom Boomer. Sky's asking, is it single? Yes, it is, Scotty. You can date the robot. It's programmed in multiple techniques.
And don't forget, ground yourself.
Yeah. Offcast channel again. And Scotty says, I enjoy its voice. Captain says, its voice. Blimey.
Its voice, robot.
Phantom Boomer says, it comes dehydrated. Just add water. I mean, they're talking about that little thing. That rover thing. Sky says, I just wanted to make sweet, sweet love to a real pot. There you go. Check out there you go, PvP. There's yours.
Hey, right on.
Yep, definitely check out PvP's channel, everybody.
And apparently Jill wants an 8-ball. This is feature.
So what is it with this Spartacus thing? Like I missed out on that. Like there was some Spartacus thing a couple days ago, or
I am Spartacus.
yeah, I remember everybody was calling themselves Spartacus the other day, which
I'm not sure. I know I'm aware of the movie with Kirk Douglas, but
yeah, well, yeah, that's the obvious reference, but
yeah. Jill should be reading these ones here because she's going the 8-ball.
She's away again.
Stream elements. Spartacus, the 8-ball says outlook good. Sky's questioning
what?
Don.
Why is the Streambots putting 8-ball in there? What is all that about?
Jill's doing that. Jill's doing that.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I was away for a second, and yes,
okay.
I did use the 8-ball. I wanted to see if it works. It's just it's a fun little feature of the Stream Elements where you can ask it a question, like you do an 8-ball, and it gives you an answer.
Oh,
okay. Very cool.
You can even program the responses if you wanted.
Excellent. I really thought, by the way, I thought this scene with the robot reviving Dr. Smith was pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh,
it was
we
hilarious.
Got a few more chats still. All right. Limit Pie says, Scotty, Stream Elements finds one sweet sufficient. Scotty says, that was a great location shot. Phantom Boomer says, John Don sounds familiar. Sky says, the dessert with parkas.
Desert.
The desert with parkas is striking. Captain Finity says, Don, Scotty's actually are sometimes subtle. No scorch marks. Scotty says, looks like a bunch of Gary Oldman movie. They call me Nobody's Stream. They would be flirking in disguise. Hungry says, what if the bloop was a pure carnivore? Come on, people! Use your
That's
science!
Another thing. I thought it was crazy that Don just immediately scoops up the animal as though it's just a harmless creature.
Yeah.
Luckily, he was right. But
yeah, maybe it's right. Maybe the bloop is waiting to get alone with Debbie, and she's gonna. I mean, with that,
are loving and endearing and lovable. We're also protective of our own.
there you go.
Yeah, bloop on the scanner is better than bloop on the scanner. Debbie will fix that.
Oh boy.
There's Captain Affinity's channel. Phantom Boomer says, I can't believe we're on the eve. Eve of Destruction was a decent replicant movie. And hey, Hungry, Scott. Hey, Skogly, how's it going?
Here's Skogly.
Skogly, good to see you.
Skogly, PvP.
Glad you could join us,
Hi,
Skogly.
Hi, Skogly.
Ray or Libin. I'm Spartacus. Hola, Skogly Jotun.
Yeah, I'm Spartacus for 2 weeks due to an error on my part.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Hungry says Scotty is Scotimus, not Spartacus. I thought Scotty was Scotford. Scotimus. Don is trusting. Don is great. Matt's laughing. There's Skogly's channel. And Skogs. All right, now we're all caught up.
And I have a note here regarding, I know you guys talked about it a minute ago about the robot's voice. It was always during the post-production phase when Dick Tufeld made his contribution. He enjoyed working in Lost in Space, telling interviewer Barry Megan, but as much fun as the robot character was, I was absolutely locked into Bobby May's talking. If my timing was exact, then I was in sync with the flashing light on the robot's chest. It really became less of a creative job for me and more of a technical job. But then, isn't that how it should be for a robot? So that's how Dick Tufeld surmised his acting abilities as the voice of the robot.
You did a good job too. The voice of the robot was pretty awesome in this show.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him. In fact, I've got a whole bunch of clips of interviews of all these people here that was done later on. And when he went into Irwin Allen's office and Irwin Allen said, we need the voice of a robot, he tried 2 or 3 different ones. But as soon as he said, danger, Will Robinson, Irwin Allen said, that's it. That's the one I want. So that's how it was chosen. He did try to listen to different ones, but I think, in my opinion, he made the right decision.
It's really the voice that kind of brings the robot to life, really. You know.
Yes, absolutely.
It gives him his personality, essentially.
Right, and there will be an episode coming up that we will actually be able to hear Bobby May's voice on the inside and not Dick Tufeld's. It's only done once in the entire 3 seasons. And I'll point it out when we get to that episode. Without giving away too much. So here's where we have the robot reviving Dr. Smith and kind of giving him somewhat of artificial respiration, I guess, helping him his lungs breathing.
Like the Heimlich maneuver or something kind of.
Right, kind of like the Heimlich maneuver. And then, of course, Dr. Smith wakes up and says, take your claws off me.
Yeah.
And, of course, the first thing Dr. Smith thinks about is taking the ship and getting out of there.
Environmental control, Robert. Temporary suspended CPR.
Right.
Name the show, but he uses a different name. Oh, come on. No one watches Family Guy? When Peter got a CPR license?
I don't watch Family Guy. I'm not a fan of
that. Well, Peter got a CPR license that he was using it. He abused it there, and he has pretty much assaulted the guy there. So he loses his CPR license, and then he thinks that Loretta's in trouble. He storms into the building and goes, Peter Griffin, temporary suspended CPR license. Who needs help in here?
All right, this is the scene where the Robinsons are heading back to the Jupiter 2, and they come across this, it looks like a big tumbleweed, a bush that seems to be electrically charged. I don't know if it's alive or if it just happens to be passing their way.
I know, like cool. A giant triple that's electrical. I don't know. We don't know.
I thought of a tumbleweed too, actually, but maybe it is like a giant tribble. Jeez, but it was pretty cool. Like I thought it was fun having a big electrical, creature.
Yes, and unfortunately, when it came in contact with the chariot, it looks like it blew the generator or some of the fuses. Right now, they're trying to figure out exactly what happened, but they lost power.
I think they say something about it drained all the power out of the.
Right. It either said I can't remember the exact word, but they lost power or it drained power. So Will says he has an idea of what he thinks that could fix it, but Professor Robinson says, but it's getting late. Let's walk back to the Jupiter 2 and we can come back tomorrow morning and work on the chariot and get it back up and running. That's why he said we're going to get it and walk the rest of the way. So, and of course, we'll try to sell them, but it'll only take about a half hour or so just to try. And of course, John Robinson does the smart thing and says, no, he wants them all back in the ship. And here's where Dr. Smith is upset at the robot because the robot is not programmed to fly the ship back to Earth. So, Dr. Smith is a little bit upset. But then, unfortunately, he starts kicking the robot, which causes the robot automatically to go into protective mode. Excellent. And it starts warning Dr. Smith.
Yes, he calls it, you tin-plated fraud. You worthless electronic scrap heap.
Yeah, Dr. Smith actually gets very creative in some of the curses he uses against the robot later.
Well, he said
a lot of fun.
He said in several interviews that once his role got bigger, the writers started giving him a lot more leadway. So he said he would lay in bed at night and just thinking of all the alliteratives that he could call the robot. And then when he went to work, he would tell the writers they'd add him to the script.
Oh, it got really hilarious after a while, for sure. Yeah.
Well, hasn't he learned not to insult the AI because then it might tell the toaster to take a bath with you later on?
I think it's
Yeah,
pretty cool that I like the electric bolts coming out of the robot though. That's pretty cool.
it was very
I'll
good.
function you right down to a bunch of melted transistors.
Right. And I do have to mention that about the toaster. There was a fantastic comedian I used to love. He was my favorite, named Rodney Dangerfield,
Oh
and he
yeah,
had self-deprecating humor. And he
he was
said that when
great.
he was a kid, his parents hated him so much that his bath toys was a toaster and a radio.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield. There's a lot of stuff by him on YouTube here. Anybody should check it out because he was hilariously funny.
Yeah, I loved him and Phyllis Diller. Those were my top
Oh
comedian and
geez, I haven't thought
comedian,
of
I
Phyllis
guess.
Diller in years.
Most people have probably never even heard of her at this point.
Yeah, Phyllis Diller was pretty out there for the 60s and 70s. Yeah.
Well, she was also self-deprecating. All her jokes were about herself. That's what I liked about it.
Right. Right.
And they didn't have to cuss. They didn't have to use swear words or racial slurs and none of that kind of garbage. So that was the good old days, I guess, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dr. Smith tones down his humor when he sees that the robot is unprotective, on attempting to defend itself. So he tones it down and says only one person is currently of use to us, and he says Major Don West. So of course he's automatically, it's like he's already written off the rest of the family. But he's going to try to figure out some way, of course, because that's all Dr. Smith is here for, and try to figure out how to get back to Earth. And of course, right about this time, and there he is when he says that he's the only one that knows how to pilot the spaceship, which is true. Professor Robinson could probably do it too, but as it stands right now, that's Don's job. And here's where wait, and I'll bring up a point later on, but this is where Dr. Smith says, since the others serve no purpose, they must be, notice he uses the word liquidated. I'm going to there's a point about that word and other words that he uses that I'll bring up close to the end here when we get to our cliffhanger scene.
So in other words, they were going PC before it was cool.
Wasn't PC, it was a matter of the censors. Because they knew it was a family show, so they wanted them to tone down certain words. And I'll elaborate more on that a little later.
There just was a lot less leeway back in 60s TV. Well, like the famous example is, Star Trek, right? When Kirk says, let's get the hell out of here. I mean, that was, Roddenberry had to fight to keep that line, in the episode because the censors wanted to, take it right out. So
Exactly, right.
Well, yeah. Well, what happened to these damn censors nowadays?
Well, I really appreciate that this episode puts, because you were warning us that the censors didn't want to put the women and children in danger, but this episode does. So I'm so excited for that, going forward, that actually does happen despite the censors.
Yeah, it's like, yay, women and children, women are in danger. Yeah.
Well, definitely, because I think
it makes
for an exciting story, everyone needs to be on an equal playing field.
It does make it more
agree,
believable. Yeah, it's more believable for sure.
I agree. And it shows Smith's disdain for the family. He has absolutely no use for them. All he needs is a pilot because he knows that he's not capable of flying Jupiter 2, and certainly neither is the robot.
Well, the only thing Smith cares about is getting back to Earth, really.
Yes, or himself. Even once he got back to Earth, he'd abandoned the robot. So, yeah, it's literally only himself.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he should have thought about that before he decided to stow away.
Remember, he did try to get off before the ship took off.
Yeah, he didn't mean to. He just wanted to sabotage and destroy the ship.
Exactly. Because whatever power he was working for, which is, unnamed, obviously that was his mission, right? To sabotage the mission. And he never intended to be, on the ship when it actually launched. So,
hence the title of the first episode, The Reluctant Stowaway.
Exactly.
How are we doing on our chats there, Gorilla?
Ooh, let's catch up again.
Thank you.
Come on, let's give pop culture some tips here. Let's get him some tips. He just had to fix his car, so let's get him some tips here.
Yeah, let's send some super chats or something, guys.
Yeah. Matt G says, yes, Jill found out you can't change names more than twice in 2 weeks. Oh, if Jill wants, I could probably change her StreamYard names from here. I know. I know how to do that.
Yes, my StreamYard is fine. It's the YouTube side.
Oh, looks fine.
So I didn't know there's a
from here.
limit on YouTube where how often you can change your
Really?
name.
Yes, I have a comment coming up about it.
Okay.
I never
But
realized
yeah,
that.
you can only my attention was split in between taking care of my family, moderating for another channel, doing moderation duties and all this other stuff, and so I missed the warning
Oh,
that I could only change it a couple. So that means this is my April Fool's name for half the month, and proof
For
that
2
I
weeks.
make mistakes and could be an idiot. So I am
This
the
is
April Fool.
fallible.
Oh, so
Right.
now when people go to look for your channel there from the shout out video that Ryan made for you, they're not gonna be able to find it.
Well, the link is still the same, so the link will be fine. That's not different. So luckily, if they use the link in the description, they're okay.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Phantom Boomer says, "Glad I never changed mine." And here you go, Jill. You can read this one.
I already said it. So I missed the warning that you can only change your name twice because my attention was split several ways.
All right. Matt's laughing. Scotty says, "Robot is an iconic voice. Definitely iconic." Hashtag robot pegs. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
No, we don't need that kind of. Please skip over that chat.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, warning, Scotty. Please don't do that in my chat.
Yeah, is that a bagel? Hugger's calling
Naughty Scotimus.
Are we supposed to see that wire hanging off the back of the chariot? I didn't even notice it, to be honest. Don in the winter wear warm. There's Nemesis channel. Where are all the chicks at?
They're on the show. 3 of them.
Yeah, Dr. Smith has a foul mouth. Me sitting there looking at Don. Where's the women or women's? And the Living Pig says, Scotty here. Well, I don't know. Aside from Jill, they ain't here. Hungry says, the women's. I mean, on the show, Lemon, very chaste.
Chase.
Yeah. Oh, fucking here. I thought I was being smart. I thought I read it correct.
Oh,
Damn it.
sorry.
Just wrecked my whole day.
All right, Hungry Boy, another Phyllis Diller fan. Very cool, Hungry Boy.
There's a link for Antiderivative Spartacus channels. Phyllis was I'm not finishing that. I'm not gonna read a racial slur even if it's
yeah. I don't want to get my channel in trouble. Thank you, Gorilla.
Standards and practices. Who's in danger? Everyone. Hungry Hippo. Sabotage. I don't think Jill is an idiot.
Thank you.
Prudice. Prudes.
Prudes. Plural form of prude.
All right. And if you don't, yeah. And if you notice, I changed my banner underneath my name there.
Okay.
To automatic F. Or wait.
And then Scotty says later taters, which is what Kronos likes to say when he leaves too. That reminds me of him.
Okay. See you later, Scotty.
Bye, Scotty.
Okay, so here's where Dr. Smith is conniving with the robot, saying basically that all they need is Major West, and that the family is expendable. So he's telling the robot that when he catches each one of them to basically get rid of them. And the robot is basically saying, aye, aye, sir, but not using those words. And here's where he's planning on how to convince Major West. And of course, here's where this was also, by the way, this was another thing that I'm glad you highlighted this line, Jill. The network wanted a little bit of softening on Smith's character. So that's why they added this line here where he says, too bad about young Lil, though. So they wanted to show that he does have a little bit of sympathy, at least for one of the cast members or one of the crew, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
So,
but
But of
still, the
course,
thing is, oh, go ahead, Jill.
but of course, it's kind of a selfish reason because Will was an interesting companion, is what it was. That's how he put
right,
it.
right. Only because he has something to gain. Exactly right.
Well, the thing is, I think that line kind of shows Smith's hypocrisy too, right? Because obviously, if he actually gave a damn about Will, he wouldn't have ordered the robot to murder everybody, including Will in the
Right.
first place, right? So, you know,
Right.
he's
That,
being a
that,
hypocrite.
that line would have had a lot more sympathy with me if it was at the end of the phaser rifle.
But I have a feeling if he told the robot, I think he knows that if he told the robot to get rid of everybody but Will, I'm sure he realized that Will would put up a pretty big fight, and Will probably wouldn't be going along very easily without being forced to, right?
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Will would be happy to just suddenly side with Dr. Smith once he killed his family.
No, I don't
Doesn't
think
seem
so.
very likely.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, it just
And
does
of
show
course,
that, you know,
Dr. Smith,
no,
right,
that's
he's
okay.
already talking past tense. He's already talking past tense like Will's already dead. I just thought that sometime the boy and I might match wits in a chess game. And of course, now he reminds the robot when he plays, he likes to win, and unlike when he plays the robot. So that's pretty bad when you program a computer. Next thing you know, it's beating you at the game.
I liked it when the robot caught him trying to cheat and stopped him. That was pretty funny.
Yes.
Right,
Dr.
and you
Smith.
also wonder if, in any way, the robot was actually hurt by the statement that Smith wants to play with Will, not the robot, because the robot's like, I play chess too.
That's true. Or I thought it was your chess friend. Mm-hmm. And of course, Dr. Smith's still conniving. Each liquidation must appear to be accidental. A strong jolt of
Right.
electricity, for instance. We can always
Yeah,
explain
just
it away as metabolic failure.
kill the whole family off one by one, and of course, it's going to look like a coincidence, right?
Like it's just a coincidence, right? They're all
It's like
happen to
after
be
2 or
dropping
3
like
are
flies.
gone, it's like, gee, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's funny. He says metabolic failure. I figured he would say heart attack, since it's using electricity, but maybe they don't want to be too much on the nose.
Could be, yeah.
So now is where he sees that the Robinsons are arriving back at the Jupiter 2, and he's highly surprised because he expected Professor Robinson to be dead at this point.
Yeah.
Well, technically, he should be. Technically.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Many laws of physics, yeah.
Right. Let's just say with the Parajets, if they kicked in at 100 feet above the ground, maybe he's lucky they didn't rip his arms off. I guess I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's pretty implausible, but oh, what the heck? It's Lost in Space, right? It's not Star Trek, so, you know.
Well, think about this. You guys have seen videos where people jump out of airplanes with parachutes. The parachute doesn't open, but it barely opens up just before they hit the ground, and they survive.
Yeah, but I think jumping out of an airplane, is a little different than, coming in from, outer space and.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about the atmosphere. I'm just talking about as far as falling at a fast rate, and then
You do hear people surviving, yeah, which is pretty freaky, actually. Yeah.
Some people have landed in trees and lived.
Ooh, glad it's not me.
Same here.
I don't think
exactly.
there ain't no way I'm ever jumping out of a plane.
I do. I hope to someday.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, it's relatively safe. It's only a few times that people are actually killed, and besides the way I look at it, there's worse ways to die.
But the thing is, you only need that one time when it goes wrong.
Just that one time, and you know what? Yeah. And with my luck with gambling, that would be my one time.
My luck, I'd be the one guy in a million. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, me too. I can't win the lottery or anything. I never have.
Yeah.
I don't have Gorilla's luck. That's the guy who's lucky.
Oh, it's Gorilla winning lots of lotteries.
Wow, yeah, you did. Yeah, he had some pretty good luck not too long ago.
Cool.
So awesome. Here's where Dr. Smith is practicing Saint Zachary the First, how virtuous he can possibly be and innocent around the family. Because I'm sure he's thinking that they probably got a lot of questions for him when they get back.
All right, I got a stupid question then. Who was Saint Zachary?
He is Zachary. His first name is Zachary Smith. is his name. So he's calling himself a saint. He's saying that he
He's
can be virtuous like a saint.
he's sainting himself, basically. He's so arrogant.
Well, in fact, that's a good question, Gorilla, because this is the first time I think they mentioned his first name, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been Dr. Smith up to this point, and this is the first mention we get of his actual first name.
Yeah, I don't think we heard it at all in the first 2 episodes. That's right.
Okay, so now we know he's not completely a two-dimensional character. There's a little bit of a third dimension coming through there.
Mm.
And here we have the Robinson's approach to the Jupiter 2. And Don says he'll check out the chariot in the morning. He'd like to get a look at that upper deck of the ship that he's talking about. They want to see what kind of damage it has sustained during the crash landing. And of course, Will is still insistent that he can fix the chariot. And this is where they're talking, where he still controls the robot. And Dr. Smith is trying to tell him there's no cause for alarm. And of course, here he is trying to act all innocent, which I don't think it's completely working on them, especially not on Professor Robinson.
Now, where's the phaser rifle right to the head? They don't even have to shoot him. They could just bash him in the head with it.
Well, they could tell him he could sleep outside for the night. That's a good punishment, huh?
I just don't know why they didn't just put him in the deep freeze, chamber like for the rest of the series. But then that wouldn't have been any fun, right? So
No, it wouldn't be any fun.
it would make sense. But
They're not assassins. They're not going to. Right, they're all scientists, so they're not going to kill him outright. But
so they could have deep freezed him. But he's such a cool, fun character. Like the series, really. I think without Dr. Smith, I don't know if it would have lasted 3 seasons. To be quite honest,
we'll never know, huh?
Yeah.
But he was very
entertaining. Oh, he's very entertaining.
Okay, let's see here. Have you Hungry Boy says, right night, Scotty. And Captain Finney says, okay, we're back from the shops. All right, I just want to get caught up really quick. And Dr. Smith says, have you considered what drastic atmospheric changes could take place on this planet? And once again, Dr. Smith does have a good point.
Yes, they don't know what's going to happen at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where Don says, don't trust him. He's slippery. He has a bucket of eels. And he's right about that.
I love that line.
If they don't trust him, lock him up. Or you got your laser rifle, just saying.
Well, yeah, but remember now he's standing next to the robot. So once again, they've got to be cautious on what they act or how they act towards him.
Well, the other thing about the robot, like he does need the power pack on his side to actually function, right?
Yes.
So if they were, wanting to, control the robot and get it out of Smith's hands, they could just remove the power pack and the robot would be helpless.
Right. If one of them can get behind it nonchalantly, just like, happen to be just, strolling around.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, Will could walk up to him and start chatting with him in Dr. Smith's voice. And while he was doing that, someone else could just pull the plug, right? So to speak.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think they want Dr. Smith I don't think they want him knowing that Will can impersonate his voice yet.
Well, you'd have to get Dr. Smith out of the room first.
Yes. Well, tell him to go outside.
Yeah. Just, go have a cigarette or something.
Just find a casual cliff to walk off of.
Yeah, we know a nice little spot with an electric branch you can hang out.
Yeah, you got electric tumbleweed you can go hang out with, Smith.
Hey, go stand in that puddle of water.
I do enjoy how Gorilla's already, getting how annoying Smith is, though, which is
I guess
great.
It doesn't take long.
We all love to hate him, basically, right? So
yes, he's one of those.
He's like
villains.
a standard villain that's just not mustache twirling.
Yeah,
right. That would have been a little too much over the top.
He does get more complex as the series goes on. Though, so that's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can see the beginnings of that nuance this early.
And here's where he tells the robot. Here's where he tells the robot, scout around and bring me a full atmospheric report. So they just got a basic report earlier. So now the robot does as he's told, and he heads out for the report. And we cut to later on. Captain's log.
Yay! This is cool.
And Professor Robinson is reading from his what did I call it? Captain's log. I guess it's a ship's log, captain's log. His notes or his diary. I don't know if they actually ever give it an actual name or not. But he's basically given notes on what happened on this hostile planet. But that he's happy they're all still together, everyone's safe. Don is making repairs on the ship. There's air to breathe, shelter against the cold. The family's starting to settle in and make dinner. As you can see here, they have 7 places set for 7 people. I like they showed this too because they had to add an extra table for the 7th person, considering that Dr. Smith was a stowaway. Everything was designed for 6 people. So I'm glad that they did show that.
That's a great detail. I never thought of that, but that is really cool.
Mm-hmm. And here's where I think that there's, I can't remember exactly, but it might show Maureen pulling out food from those containers. I know it doesn't look very appetizing, but yeah. Right. There it is. Yeah, she does.
Oh, well.
And Professor Robinson comes in after working on this captain's log and says, "Where's Will?" And they say, "I imagine he went to his compartment." And Maureen goes to check on him, and thinking he might have been right about that short in the chariot's ignition system is what John's thinking. And of course, as we all suspected, when she opens up the door to Will's compartment, he's not there. Rambunctious little Will.
Yeah.
Well, he's not here. He told me he had an idea on how to fix the chariot, said Penny. And of course, they said, "Well, Penny, damn it, why didn't you say something?"
I'm surprised she didn't, actually, because a lot of times Penny seems to kind of like to, take a dig at her sibling, right?
Well, yeah, you got that brother and sister rivalry going on there.
Yeah, right? Every once in a while she'll start to take a shot at him, which is kind of funny. Yeah.
So but in this case, it just seems like she just told him, "You shouldn't be doing that, Will," and then he did it.
So
maybe Will said, "Promise me, Penny, don't say anybody, don't tell anybody, Penny." Maybe that's what he did. I don't know.
Yeah. So in other words, she's not the Aaron of Lost in Space. Maybe pop culture's the only one that gets that reference there.
Aaron
from Waltons.
I haven't watched that show since the early 70s.
Yeah, I haven't seen it so long.
She's like Aaron's the sister you do not want because she'll narc you out on every little thing.
I had a brother like that. So yeah, there's one in every family, I guess, or most families.
So Aaron's the youngest one in the family, if I remember.
No, that's Elizabeth. Aaron was the middle daughter.
I don't know. They had like 15 kids. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been too long. I forget.
There's 4 boys and 3 girls, and she was the middle daughter.
Man, that's a lot of kids.
Gotcha.
Hey, free labor.
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's one way to put it.
They stayed busy, that's for sure.
Go ahead, Jill.
There's a saying about this in a Stargate episode called Nox, and the saying throughout the episode is, "The very young do not always do as they're told," and that's what's going on here with Will.
Yes, unfortunately.
True.
Much to his parents' chagrin.
Will he's basically very precocious. He's like the little adventurer, right? He's always going out on an adventure of some sort because that's just the kind of personality he is, which makes him such a fun character, of course.
Right, but sometimes, unfortunately, that little adventurism in his blood can get everybody in trouble, including himself.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
And here he is working with the chariot. And, of course, he's disappointed because I guess whatever idea he thought he had in repairing the ship seemed to be the wrong idea. So he says, "I guess I was wrong. I really thought I could fix it. And, boy, it's cold. I got to get back to the ship." And as he realizes that, we have the robot here because they did send the robot to go find Will. And Will is, of course, not realizing what's happening, is talking to the robot, saying, "I want to talk to you about the way you ran off." So he was talking about earlier when the robot ran off when they were saving Professor Robinson. And here we go. And this is the robot here, of course, following the orders by Dr. Smith to eliminate each of the Robinson family when he got them away from each other. So phase 1, when each one are found alone, destroyed. This is the line I wanted to mention. The network came down. Originally, the line was, and are found alone, kill. And the network said, no, you're not going to use the word kill, especially with a kid. So they changed it from kill to destroy. So that's why we get the word destroy in this series so often rather than the word kill.
Destroy is so much more subtle, too.
It is.
It's like, really, censors? Like, you thought destroy sounds better? Like, it's still the same damn thing, right?
Yeah, but I guess kill just sounded maybe too harsh.
Maybe.
And destroy is something that you would say, I don't know, but necessarily about a person, but like about a machine or a car or, a
True.
piece of hardware you want to kill specifically means a person.
True.
So
I do like the lightning bolt effects here, though. I think it's really cool when the robot can shoot his lightning bolts.
Yeah,
Yes.
This is definitely my favorite part of this scene, zeroing in on this branch.
Right. Of course, the robot wants to show Will that he knows that he means business, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So he practices on the tree and blows that up first, which makes Will realize that maybe the robot's not there on good terms.
And then we get the great next week. Yeah.
To be continued next week. Same time, same channel.
Great cliffhanger on this one.
But with the censors, that they're not going to kill off the boy.
Yeah, but still, you
got
got
episode in.
Yeah, but you do wonder how he's going to survive, though, too, right? Because he's got to survive somehow, but we don't know how, so that kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, he'll impersonate Dr. Smith.
Well, that's true. That's always one way of doing it, right?
That's what
I think. And I do have, yes, and I do have the teaser here I want to play for next week. So I was able to manage to get the teaser. It's a short one, but I think it'll kind of give you the idea of what's going on here. So let me open that up.
Cool.
Make sure it's got sound too, hopefully. And like I said, it's going to be a fast one. I think it's less than 30 seconds.
But the day after tomorrow, the temperature will drop 150 below zero.
Abandon the spaceship?
All right, let's go. I want us to get out of here as quickly as we can.
All right.
We are on a most hostile planet.
Are you out of your collective mind?
And there it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't use a preview of next week's cliffhanger, unfortunately, too.
But it still didn't give away much of the story, so I think it's all right.
That next episode is a pretty awesome one. That's one of my favorites of season 1. It's really good. I mean, I think you can probably get that idea from the cliffhanger scene there, but it's really a good episode.
Yep, you got to give you a little bit of a hit without giving away too much.
Exactly.
So, as a reminder, everybody, I did put a poll in the chat. If you'd like to please vote, tell us what grade you would give this episode now that we've made it to the conclusion. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit a like button. I'm going to be closing this stream out. And I think have we covered all the chats? Let's see here. Because we are nothing without the chat.
There's probably more.
Anna Boomer says, what did you bring me? And Captain Finney says, we got a bottle of red. Cheers. And Phantom Boomer says, I never drink wine. Same here. Wines is not my thing. Captain Finney says, me neither, to be honest. I hence only one bottle. And Phantom Boomer says,
you haven't had a feisty bitch then.
What's that? Sorry, what's that?
You haven't had some fight. That's because you never had any feisty bitch.
Any feisty? Is that a brand?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that on the shelves. I've only seen it standing out in front of the liquor store. Just kidding, guys.
I have not seen that brand here.
Yeah, well, the liquor store I go to has over 8,000 types of wine.
That's crazy.
That's just the wine.
Ow. Yeah, I'm not much of a wine drinker myself either, Pop, actually. It's just not my thing.
Yeah,
Gives
for
me
me it was
real
always
heartburn.
bitter.
Gives me heartburn actually if
Oh
I
well.
drink too much.
Yeah, for me bitter and a stomach ache.
Yeah. I can maybe have
And
one glass, if I'm having supper, but that's about it.
Phantom Boom says here or in. Here's the missing in. And Captain Finnish says I'll try not to be the spelling tedious pedant. Genus. There we go. He corrects us. Hungry Boy says Wesley is the mirror Will. Will is useful, smart, and has a stout heart. Yes, I do agree, Hungry Boy.
Yeah, good
That darn
observation.
stream elements. Phantom Boomer says I'd much rather be destroyed than killed. Same here. It doesn't sound quite as harsh. And Hungry Boy says, "Yay, the Cyclops, the first indication of ancient non-Terran life. Hurrah!" Captain Vinny says, "Thanks, Pops, panel, and chat. That was awesome. Well, thank you, Captain. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for being here and spending your time with us."
Glad you were with us, Captain.
Absolutely. I know he's a busy man, so whenever he makes time for my chat, I'm very honored. Phantom Boomer says, many years ago when I didn't know any better, I drank Boone's Farm and Annie Green Springs and Bartles and James. I do remember Bartles and James wine coolers. I used to like those.
Oh,
I had many of those
Boone's
when I was in
Farm.
the Air
That's
Force.
wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff.
Boone's Farm. I remember the commercials, and I had this alcoholic aunt and uncle that drank Boone's Farm all the time. And the commercials were hilarious. Lemon Pie says, thanks. Hungry Boy says, fabulous stream, folks. Fantastic coverage of the episode. Thank you, Hungry Boy.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and pull up the poll here so everyone can see it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that
And then
the
share that with
folks in the
everybody.
chat are enjoying these. That's awesome, guys.
Yeah, believe me, yes, we were kind of we were deciding on if we wanted to cover Lost in Space. I wasn't sure how well people were going to receive it, but so far so good. It looks like everybody likes it. So I really do
already knew it was going to be great
here.
because I was even not seeing it. I was very interested in it. So it has interest to people, even people who have never seen it, because everyone has heard of it, and maybe they want to hear a little more. And
Yeah, it's a great fun show. It really is.
Absolutely, and I love. And I remember as a kid when people say, "Okay, what's better?" Because now these days is everybody compares Star Trek and Star Wars, but when we were kids, it was Star Trek and Lost in Space.
Totally.
And I could never pick one over the other. I could never pick one over the other. I love them both equally for two different reasons.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like for me, Lost in Space is nostalgic because I was like a little kiddo when it premiered in 1965, and we actually got it on the channel, here. So I could watch it. I'd go over to my buddy's house every week, and we'd watch it. Two kids, two nerds. We'd sit on the floor in front of the TV and totally soak this stuff in, right? So it was
yes,
yeah, it's kind of got special memories for me. Even though now, when I got older, I did think Star Trek was a much better show because it was more serious and a Kirk Spock.
it is. Yes,
you gotta love that, right? But I always
yeah,
have a
back in
special place for this.
Yeah, when we were younger too, I know at least here in syndication, if you got home from school, Lost in Space would be on from 5 to 6, and then Star Trek would be from 6 to 7.
Yeah,
so you'd watch them one after the other. So
I saw it in the original run, and I think it would air like probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night, right, once a week. So that was pretty much perfect, right? So
yeah. I'll be bringing up the time slots, channels, and ratings here soon in this stream. Cool. Not tonight's stream, but in the Lost in Space stream. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to end the poll, which is excellent, by the way. Don't disappear, poll. I just wanted to end the poll. Where did the poll go? Okay. What grade would you give Island in the Sky? It looks like we got a 50% give it a B plus to a B minus, which I think is fantastic.
That's pretty 41%
gave it A plus to an A minus. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. And it looks like 8% gave it a C plus to C minus, and 0, thankfully, said D plus to F minus. So it looks like everybody enjoyed it at some certain level. So thank you guys for voting. I appreciate it. Except for Gorilla.
Okay. That's okay because you're on the panel. You get to say what your vote is.
Yeah, you can vote now.
Better, right? Exactly. We get to hear you.
Hey, my banner says it.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, it is. There's a default F.
Oh, man.
So, Jill, can you tell us what grade would you give this episode, and then tell us a little bit about your channel?
Okay, great. I give this episode an A. This show in general is an absolute party. It's a blast from a past that I could never know. In that way, it's definitely of its time. I understand the time in which it was made, so I know why we don't get to hear much of the technical knowledge of Maureen, Judy, or Penny. But I'm having a fun time anyway. From the first 3 episodes, I can definitely say that I love this, even if the science doesn't really match up. It's not Star Trek. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't forget science fiction, even if it isn't as in depth as other shows. And like we saw, it does sometimes remember the science, like how it remembers to check the environment of the planet, and it actually cares a great deal about it, even if most of it is presented visually rather than in a literary way. But that's another thing. This show loves to use the literary language, and in that way, it's very intelligent, despite keeping itself simple enough for everyone to enjoy, making it better for anyone tuning in. I enjoyed the interactions we have with the artificial intelligence and how it will do what we tell it so precisely that any errors are strictly our fault, which is a realistic view of the matter of programming today, but written in the 60s. So that's some pretty cool projections of technology. So whether the robot's going to break free of his programming is one of the most interesting parts of the show for me.
And tell us about your channel. Thank you, Jill, for the review, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah, excellent.
My channel is Antiderivative Jill. Right now it's Spartacus, but I'll be switching that back. But tomorrow I'm going to review Star Trek, the original series episode Cat Spa. So we're doing the Halloween episode.
And we've got a bit of trivia that we'll be sharing tomorrow, courtesy of Gorilla.
Awesome! Can't wait.
Oh, so you still got that? Link?
Yep, I will have a video clip of it as well. Thank you, Gorilla.
And then on Thursday, I'm going to be on Scotty R37's channel, Phantasmagorium. We're gonna review something. I'm not sure. We've quit reviewing the filth, so we'll do a series wrap up when the whole thing's over, just to say what we think. But we're done with it. It's so bad. Wow. But and well, for me it's bad, but for him it's kind of like tepid. And
wow, yeah, I'm so glad you guys finally gave up on it. Seriously.
So we might review Quantum Leap, or we might review Voyager, since Wednesday is First Contact Day. So, but I still need to talk to him about that, which I will in a little bit.
Gonna review Flesh Gordon.
Well, smart decision, Jill. Better to save your sanity, right?
Hey, Jill, if you do decide to go back to Quantum Leap on Thursday, can you message me and tell me which episodes that I might want to watch? Because I kind of would like to prepare if you guys are going to do that on Thursday.
Okay, I'll let you know what we decide.
That'd be awesome, because I really was enjoying watching the Quantum Leap streams that you guys were doing when you were doing them like months ago. So yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, they were great.
Jill, did you mention your Friday streams?
Great fun.
Oh yeah, on Friday. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet on Friday either. Oh wait, I'm reviewing Spartacus because I made my name that.
There it is.
Really? You're doing the movie Spartacus?
I have to. My name is stuck as
awesome.
it. So I'm gonna review it.
Okay.
I'll have to
watch that if I can find it. I'll have to rewatch.
Yeah, last week we covered Kingdom of the Spiders with Woody Strode, and he's in Spartacus. He stars with him.
Spartacus is awesome. What a coincidence. It's a great movie. That'll be fun.
Yes, it is. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us, Jill.
You're welcome.
And how about you, Gorilla? What say you? Can you give us your review and tell us about your channel? Is that your review, Gorilla?
Oh no!
Oh boy!
This episode, I'll give it high points because it had my ancestor in it. I'll give it some higher points, but Come on, can we at least get a splat? Come on now. I want a splat. Or at least shoot Smith in the leg at least. Come on, give him some owies or something.
Make it look like an accident.
I mean, I understand this is supposed to be 1965, you can't show violence and all that. But can at least get like them kicking him in the knee or something? You want to do this to this? Then just freaking kick him right in the knee. Come on now.
Stay tuned for future episodes. You may get a little bit of what you're hoping for.
But I'm gonna be nice. That's just a small nitpick, and me just being bitchy and all that. I'll still give this a B+.
Well, thank you, Gorilla. And tell us about your channel.
Wow.
Well, let's see. Wednesday is we're watching 2 more episodes of Time Cops, and we're going to be going to End of the Fucking World for watch parties. This Thursday, Netters Network, they're kindly asked me to join her there, so I'll be her second guest for her Thursday Things stream. That'll be at 9:00. Then on Friday, I'll be getting another copyright claim there with the Waltons review, which I learned if you guys have to trim something out for copyright there, like I screwed up totally on last Friday there. I made a mistake. I'll own it, Do not let YouTube trim out your damn videos. Download the video, cut out what they claim, then re-upload it, because YouTube clipped out 3/4 of my whole damn review of the show.
Wait, so they clipped out more than what they told you that was flagged?
Yes. And so instead of clipping out the 40 seconds that was claimed, which I'll admit I screwed up because I let it go on just a tad too long, and I
didn't know that. I was letting them trim mine too. I didn't go back and check them, but that means mine are probably messed up too.
And I let it go on a little too long, and I didn't word my FU to Warner's brother right. So
yeah, that's right. The algorithm is not very good at determining what should be clipped, so you have to listen to it for yourself and clip just enough to where it's not going to claim it anymore. And it says we won't release the claim right away, but they will. You just have to pay attention.
Now, if I heard right, is it correct that if you take your stream and you edit it and then post it again, you lose all the views for it, right, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
That part won't bother me, but the part that bothered me is they claimed 3/4 of the entire stream. I did not play 3/4 of the damn Waltons episode. We ran about the same damn length.
Yeah, that means they probably did the same with my Gilligan's Island. I'm glad you told me now before I do that anymore.
Thank you, I've had every single claim of mine released except this one rejected. I was in a hurry to get it done because I was doing it about 5 minutes before I had to leave for work. But lessons learned there on. That reminds me, I have to have LDG show me how to make a FU disclaimer for Warner's Brothers for my Waltons video. Yeah, but anyhow, then there's no Babylon 5 this Saturday because it's by Family Easter and all that, and either I'm not gonna be home or I'm gonna be too drunk to do the stream. I won't be able to find the start broadcast and the end broadcast there.
Okay.
But Sunday for Easter, I'll be on. I'm not sure what time it is yet. That there, I'll be on Ryan Roger Athay's channel. There, he's having me on for a second time. Therefore, for his reality-based stream, and then cool. on the Sunday night, we are watching the Last Starfighter.
Very cool. It's a good movie. So Easter is this Sunday? I didn't even realize. I guess it is, huh?
Yeah, it's early this year.
Yeah, Good Friday is this Friday.
Oh, right. I'm glad you told me now. I didn't even think about that.
It's like I never work Fridays anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But yeah, my office I work out shuts down this Friday. Nobody's working.
Very cool. And PPP, would you like to give us your grade on the episode and tell us about your channel?
I give it an A- because I think it's a really good episode. probably my favorite parts are it kind of does develop, Dr. Smith's character is, sort of being, a really, nasty fellow, basically. And, it's fun, when we, learn that the robot can be, programmed, to do different things. We first see the chariot in this one, which is great fun because the chariot is a very cool vehicle that they do use quite a bit in season one. So yeah, I think it's a solid episode. I only give it an A minus because I think there are episodes that are better. There's some that are, are A's and even A pluses that I think are absolutely, fantastic. So, I could have given it, I guess, a B plus, but I thought, nah, I was in a generous mood, so I gave it the A minus. But it's a really solid episode.
Yeah,
Other
very
than
cool.
other than the whole Parajet thing, like that was kind of ridiculous. But oh well.
Very cool. Then tell us about your channel. Thank you for that review.
As my avatar, my updated avatar tonight shows, my channel's basically me uploading a lot of rock and roll albums that I enjoy. So, I got a lot of playlists on there. So, that's pretty much it for now because I haven't got around to doing live streams or video stuff yet. But hopefully one of these days, not too far in the future, I will. But yeah, for right now, it's just basically a music channel with playlists. So if you enjoy rock and roll, please come in, listen, and have fun.
Very cool. And that is him streaming is on the horizon. We will be doing that soon, everybody. So please keep an eye out for that. It's just that we've got our ducks lined up. We got everything working. It's
Yeah,
just a matter of us getting our time to sync together where PvP
that's
has
the
the
thing.
time, and we'll be
Like,
doing our first stream.
yeah, it's like it all depends on the timing, of course.
Yep. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, PvP. And I wanted to give it the episode not an A plus or an A minus, but an A because like PvP, what can I say? You guys haven't already said, but like PvP said, there are a lot better episodes that come up. But I don't want to necessarily say better, but let's just say that are maybe more entertaining because I basically enjoy them all. And when it comes to technology, um, I love the robot. It was like first of all, the first couple episodes it had me with the ship and with the robot with the design, and I love it. And then now they've introduced like PvP said to the chariot. It's like all the more reason. I just loved it more and more. And there's going to be more technology that we will be introduced to in the future, which I'm excited about, and I can't wait to see it on screen. I just don't want to get away. Obviously, I don't want to give away any spoilers for anybody who has not seen it. And if you have not seen this show, please give it a try. Tonight is our third episode we just covered. So next week we'll be covering the fourth episode, which is There Were Giants in the Earth. So if you have either not seen Lost in Space or if it haven't, like us, haven't seen it in many years, I highly recommend you go back and give it a rewatch. I think it's fun. And if you have children, I highly recommend it. It's a safe show to have with your kids at your side. They will love it as well, and they will grow to love it just like we did when we were young. And tomorrow you will find me on Antiderivative Jill's channel when that'll be 12 Central Time, somewhere around there, when we'll be covering, as she said, the TOS episode Cat's Paw, which was their version of a Halloween episode. And tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time on my horror sci-fi stream, we're going to be covering the fantastic movie that I love so much, The Incredible Shrinking Man, written by Richard Matheson. And that movie is a blast. That's the movie that spawned many, many other movies like The Incredible Shrinking Woman, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. All that stuff were inspired by The Incredible Shrinking Man. And on Wednesday, you will find me on my channel, Gorilla's Random Thoughts and myself. We will be covering Gilligan's Island. We just began season 2 last week. We covered episodes 1 and 2, and this week we'll be doing episodes 3 and 4. And I'm hoping to do a random rumblings from the lab stream sometime this week. I already have a topic in mind. So I'm going to try to pick a time when, it's hard when not a lot of people that are busy and when I can kind of get people when they have time.
Well, anytime Thursday or later would work for me, Pop.
Yeah, it'll be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but it's just everybody's
good.
streaming on those nights. Every one of those nights is really everyone's streaming.
Oh, I know. It's so daunting. Like, I have no idea when I'd ever do a live stream because everybody's doing
Yeah.
so many now, right? So,
Yeah, I finally just said, like everybody keeps telling me, just do it. I guess, and then
yeah,
you'll have people come. They'll come and say, oh, I listened a little bit to that big streamer. Now I'm come over here listening to you. So that's always good. They still come over.
that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to mention, Hungry says nightcap and citrus, lemon pie, and a Captain Infinity.
Mm.
Lemon pie says awesome stream pops. Thanks. Well, thank you, lemon pie, and especially for spending your time with us. Lemon pie says hungry. Good night, sir. Lemon pie says later, Phantom. And Phantom says bye, lemon pie. Lemon pie says see you later, Captain. And Phantom Boomer says I need a real dinner. All I had was a peanut butter cup. That does sound yummy, but it does not
Oh,
sound like a real dinner. And Hungry Boy says, so please, Jill isn't so much.
Enjoys it so much, and
Oh,
yeah,
oh
me
yeah,
too.
Joy. Yeah, but sorry. Yeah, thank you for reading that again, Jill.
I was afraid that I wasn't going to enjoy it, but the parts of it where the science doesn't really add up doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. So it's fun. It's a fun show.
It is. I agree with him, and
yeah.
I'm glad. I second that what Hungry Boy says. I'm glad you enjoy it too, Jill.
Yeah, I want to third that. I'm very happy that Jill's enjoying this as much as she is too, because I was a little worried too, to be quite honest. I didn't know how Jill would, take to it, but it is a lot of fun. Even though, sometimes the science is kind of silly or non-existent, it still is a really fun show. So I'm glad. I'm really glad you're enjoying it, Jill. It's fun to,
But at
have
least
you with
it's
us.
there. There's a lot of science fiction today that that doesn't even address it.
Oh, it doesn't
And
even
this
try.
one at
Yeah,
least
I
Oh
agree.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
it's
No, no, no. I'm just saying, I'm happy that you're enjoying it because it is a great show.
And you too,
it
Gorilla.
acknowledges it. Is what I
Yeah.
meant.
And you too, Gorilla. I'm glad you're watching it too. I hope someday your son gets turned on to it, and I think he will eventually. If maybe next time Dad's watching it, maybe he might sit next to you and give it a chance.
Well, I got some rope in the garage.
And duct tape.
No, I've got.
Hey,
Oh.
we do not use duct tape in this house here. We
Uh-oh.
use Gorilla tape.
Okay. Shame on me. I should have figured
That's
that
a
out,
good one.
right?
Gorilla tape's so much better than freaking duct tape. It holds so much better.
Well, duct tape is made very cheaply now. It's not strong like it used to be.
Then it's
It
kind of
used to be
funny.
where it was very sticky and hard to remove, and you had to use scissors or knife to cut through it. And now it's about as strong as masking tape, and you can tear it with your fingers. So yeah,
That's not good.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. There, all the guys at work call me T-Rex there because my arms aren't long enough to reach like I have to really stretch to reach the end of the gloves from the sandblaster. So I kept breaking the glass and the lights in the sandblasters until they fired me.
Oh.
So they keep calling me T-Rex and all that. And I happened to be down at Ace Hardware there. I found some T-Rex tape. So for $6, I bought it and brought that to work. So we got some T-Rex tape at work.
Oh, jeez.
Very cool.
I just
Lemon
want to
Pie
say,
says-
Gorilla, I'm glad, Gorilla, you're enjoying it so much, too. Like, I wasn't sure how you'd like the show, but I'm really happy that you are, having fun with it.
Well, I'm having fun reviewing it. I'm still trying to think of different ways that we could off Smith there with sensors.
Hey, I've been thinking about how we get off him for like over 50 years now.
Well,
so-
he has a bad heart and he's afraid of heights. Those are a couple of weaknesses that are piling
Yes.
up that you can use.
and he has even more to come. So
So
Right.
dangle him over the cliff there above. So dangle him over the cliff there is what you're saying.
Right.
that would be fun.
Yes.
Pen and Boomer says lemon pie. To make matters worse, I've been watching a cooking channel on another monitor. I'm dying.
Oh God.
And Hungry Boy says LAMA. Laugh my ass off. Cat's paw.
Hey, wait, Cat's Paw, is that the one where they're in a dungeon there and there's a skeleton next to him and McCoy goes, "He's dead, Jim."
Right.
Is that the one? It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
I love that scene because Bones is next to Bones.
Right. You get two bones in one episode. Two
I
different
just
parts
think
in one.
that's just so funny.
Yes.
Phantom Boomer says, "I am Spartacus." We got a lot of Spartacuses here,
Ah.
whoever the plural form is.
Well, there's 97,000 Spartacuses.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Sean
Well, I
Carter
mean-
says,
Well, during there's 97,000 slaves that were revolting at the time, and when they said we demand your leader, we want Spartacus there, and all 97,000 stood up and said, "I am Spartacus." So they're
"I am Spartacus."
Yeah, very cool film.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
that's
Sean
actual history.
Carter. Yes, it is true. And Sean Carter says, "Hey, all, I just saw the plug for my channel. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure, Sean. Everybody, please check out Sean Carter's channel. He has some fantastic model building going on there." Phantom Boomer says, "Later Gators." Looks like Scotty's back. Thanks, everyone. Jill is such a punk. I saw Jill beat the F out of a mosh pit monkey. She did it with a bass guitar. I thought it was Jill. Does she play bass?
No, I play the saxophone.
When you're
Okay.
just made to- Sorry.
Okay, so thank you once again, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate your time spending it with us. I know it's going on a little over almost 2.5 hours, and that really does mean a lot to me. If you haven't already done so, or if you're watching this on the rewatch, please consider subbing to my channel and check out some of these channels for Antiderivative Jill and PvP and Gorilla's Random Thoughts, as well as the magnificent people in the chat. There are a lot of very creative minds here and very entertaining stuff. Enough stuff to watch to keep you busy forever. Yes,
I'd
PvP.
just like to add, hit the thumbs up button too, if you like, before you leave, guys.
Yeah, guys, if you like it, hit the thumbs button. Maybe share this with a friend. If you know anybody out there that likes classic TV as much as I do, or as much as we do, it helps to spread the word. There's not a lot of people that talk enough about classic TV. And that's another thing about classic TV, that I know that I can watch it and I don't have to worry about what kind of message it's trying to put across to my kids, like modern day television. So I think I'm pretty much done with modern day stuff. So how about, let's see, I think that's everybody. Yeah. Thank you to the chat. And thank you, Antiderivative Jill, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, and PvP for spending the time with me. And I will see you, hopefully, most of all you guys in the chat and on the panel for Jill's stream tomorrow. Where, like I said, we're going to be doing TOS. And that's going to be a fantastic episode.
12:30.
So 12:45. All right.
Yeah.
Jill is on. Oh, be careful. Jill is on time sometimes, so you never know.
Well, at least Jill will sit there and actually change the time on her thing. We've just come to accept, like, question of Trek. When they say 3:30, they mean 3:40, 3:42.
Usually, when I go to channels, and if they don't give me a warning, and where they expect you to just sit there and wait, and you don't know when, I just usually tune out because I don't have the patience. I have better things to do. That's the problem with Midnight's Edge, is they're getting to where they're later and later, and it's getting to where I just say, well, forget it. I just go to watch something else. And I think, well, maybe I'll watch it in the rerun. Maybe I won't. Who knows?
That's a bad thing with a lot of live streams, is they set a time and then they don't. Then they basically ignore it and they come on late. You know,
they do.
I've seen that in so many live streams,
and it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. Yeah, it's getting worse.
I mean,
it doesn't hurt. It doesn't kill them. Like today, if my channel's going to be a few minutes late, I'll get on there and I'll say, okay, everybody, we'll be there in a few minutes or something. Just talk to the people, engage with them to let them know that you're not dead.
Put something in the chat, you know, like, oh, I'll be 10 minutes later or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah, that's why I changed the time.
Sky has something important for us, or Sean has something important for us here. Everyone, make sure to memorize the Three Witches poem before Jill's show tomorrow. There will be
Turk.
He's dead, Jim.
Oh boy.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Drive safe tomorrow. I know it's still winter conditions for a lot of people.
We're
and
only
once again,
in
it was
watch.
Oh, well, be careful. All right.
No,
definitely, especially for you, Gorilla. Drive safe out there.
Yeah, be safe, man. We're actually doing okay here. Like, you know, spring is definitely starting to feel like spring now. The air is still cold, but you can feel the sun actually. You know, when driving home tonight, I could actually feel the warmth of the sun, so that was nice.
Yeah, It won't be long before we'll be complaining about the heat, right?
Oh, a couple more weeks. I'm hoping. You know.
Yeah, I will, Nemesis of Eden. And Nemesis, the next couple days, there, keep an eye out on Ryan Roger Athe's channel.
Okay, very cool. Everybody have a wonderful night. And like I said, see you tomorrow on Jill's channel, and then tomorrow night for the Incredible Shrinking Man on my channel. Take care.